to building bridges with communities that had previously aligned with his political rivals. This upcoming visit is not solely about economic development. It will also provide an opportunity for the president to consolidate political support in the region. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has reaffirmed the government's commitment to eradicating banditry and livestock rustling from northern Kenya. Kindiki spoke of the need for the government to do more to tackle banditry during a consultative forum with Samburu County leaders at his current residence.
Bado hatuja crash infrastructure ya banditry kabisa. Bado wako tu pale. We have to crash them completely. Bado tuko na programs ya serikali ya kujenga uchumi wa ile sehemu, ndio wananchi ile hasara waliingia ya miaka mingi, they can start now rebuilding their lives and getting livelihoods from their ancestral land.
The DP further reiterated the need for continued vigilance, saying the root causes of banditry include poor infrastructure in the affected region that must be addressed. And a doctor has been released on a $500,000 shilling bail after pleading guilty to sexually assaulting a patient at Pandya Hospital in Mombasa last month. Suspect Dias Jumba Wabire has appeared before Chief Magistrate Alex Ithuku at the Mombasa High Court, where he has been charged with the rape. Despite the bail, the Federation of Women Advocates, that is FIDA, has asked the DCI to investigate whether any staff at Pandya Memorial Private Hospital had knowledge of the incident in which the clinical officer Dias Wabile sexually assaulted a patient admitted to the hospital. Jane Onyango is the FIDA Kenya Coastal Branch representative.
DCI and the ODPP must also investigate and charge the specific staff members who knew about the sexual assault and took no action. FIDA Kenya will actively monitor this case and protect the survivor to ensure that she gets justice. The Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council and the Nursing Council of Kenya must suspend the licenses of all those involved until complete investigations are concluded. If found guilty, we demand that KMPDC and NCK respectively deregister the doctor and nurses involved.
And as a manhunt continues for suspected Al-Shabaab militants who abducted 5 chiefs in Mandera County, Northeastern Regional Commissioner John Otieno said the chiefs were heading towards El Wak when they were hijacked between Bamba Olwa and Ires Suki. KTN's Hamza Yusuf, who's been monitoring developments from neighboring Garissa County, told us about the identities of the abductees.
Machifu hao ni pamoja na Chief Ado ambaye ni chifu wa mji wa Wargadud, kuna Mohamed Kumi ambaye ni chifu wa Wargadud Mashariki, kuna Chifu Abdo ambaye ni chifu katika eneo la Kuramadoa, kuna Chifu Hachi ambaye ni naibu chifu wa Wargadud Mashariki, na pia kuna chifu ambaye anajulikana kama Indayare ambaye ni naibu chifu wa Wargadud. Watano hao pamoja na raia wengine wanadaiwa kutekwa nyara katika eneo la Iresuki.
The 7 comes as President William Ruto prepares to tour the northeastern region this week to engage with local communities and address regional development priorities. And in their international scene, Rwanda-backed M23 President Cyril Ramaphosa has vowed to continue providing support to the Democratic Republic of Congo in the face of nationwide calls to withdraw troops following the death of 14 South African soldiers. Rwanda-backed M23 fighters have made substantial gains in the eastern DRC, taking the major city of Goma last week and vowing to march across the country to the capital, Kinshasa. It is the latest escalation in a mineral-rich region devastated by decades of fighting involving dozens of armed groups and has rattled the continent, with regional blocs holding emergency summits over the spiraling tensions. That's the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
Some days just have you feeling, you know the ones. Very few aha moments. Just moments. Maybe even a few Because how can a day this good feel so meh? But then, you realize your moment of escape is a cup of indulgence away.
Delamere. Get lost in rich, creamy, flavorful bliss with every spoonful of Delamere real fruit yogurt. Indulge in the moment.
Are you a young person looking to unlock your potential? Are you ready to take the future in your hands? If so, then listen up. KCB to Jejiri is the plan. It's designed to empower young people like you, develop skills and knowledge you need to succeed in life. KCB to Jejiri combines vocational skills training, business development training, access to finance and business mentorship, preparing youth for jobs, entrepreneurship and wealth creation. Don't be left out. Visit kcbgroup.com/foundation to learn more. Are you a young person looking to unlock your potential? Are you ready to take the future in your hands? If so, then listen up. KCB to Jejiri is the plan. It's designed to empower young people like you, develop skills and knowledge you need to succeed in life. KCB to Jejiri combines vocational skills training, business development training, access to finance and business mentorship, preparing youth for jobs, entrepreneurship and wealth creation. Don't be left out. Visit kcbgroup.com/foundation to learn more.
It's Tuesday. Good morning. Let's take a quick I can't even speak today, but okay, that also goes to show that there's very little traffic on the roads today because everybody is moving and getting where they need to go. A quick look at what's happening on the roads. Let's take a look at Jogo Road because it looks like there's a little bit of action there. Some traffic as you get towards Landis, but nothing to worry about, at least not for now. Keeping an eye on all of this. Let's see what happens as you're coming off of the Thika Superhighway, and nothing much here either. Looks like it's still slim pickings this morning. Everybody either reach where they need to go or not getting out just yet. Let's see what Tuesday has in store, and we'll talk to each other. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Okay. Can you see how I'm preparing myself? Good morning. Happy 4th of February. Did I get it right? Am I here alone? Did the rapture happen?
It is the 4th of February.
It's the 4th of February and we're here.
It is.
People are all jumping everywhere, jumping about, saying that in 10 days they'll be giving flowers and perfume will be things. People are starting to stress themselves already. I don't know why. But you should love yourselves every day. Every single day. Don't have to wait for Valentine is coming. Where is your boyfriend?
Oh my God, that's excellent memory. Where is your boyfriend?
It's true. Is that not what they say?
Have you seen the one that is Thunder Fire on You? You've seen it, right? It's the best music video
I have.
of a while.
I have.
That's the one you send after Valentine's. That's for February 15th.
It's true.
Yeah.
How do you see it, sir? Good morning, first of all.
Good morning, first of all.
Thanks.
Yes.
Good morning, Mark.
Well, you started me off with a big laugh, so I'm very happy.
You're very happy. That's my job in this world.
No,
if you can be with me and you are laughing, I make you happy. It's all finished.
You sing the best songs. What were you singing before?
When?
You were singing a love song about sunshine not being taken away.
Yeah, should I sing it again?
Yes, please.
Let me arrange myself. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. So don't take my sunshine away. Sindio?
Boss, do for what's the Kenyan equivalent
of what?
See, there's some medals coming to Kenya. We paid 500 million. We nominate you.
In fact, please start now.
Yes.
Start canvassing the thing proper. Talk to somebody that you know who knows somebody whose cousin is inside that place.
Yeah.
And by the time you finish doing all that, we're inside.
Yeah.
Oh, VP. So here we are on the 4th of February. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Karibuni sana. How many ways can you say welcome? In how many languages? But either way, welcome. And we're getting into conversations this morning, of course. Let me tell you some of the things that we'll be talking about now that we have established that we're all doing very well, right? At 7 o'clock, we will be having a conversation around revenue allocation. It's a big deal. Right now, counties are all saying, okay, how much are you giving us? How much are you not giving us? There happens to be a commission for revenue allocation. So they're the ones who now essentially decide how much goes where and to whom does it go. We would hope that such stuff is based on data. And one of the commissioners at the commission, Hadija Juma, will be with us at 7 o'clock. And we'll be looking into all of the intrigues around the new revenue allocation formula, challenges and controversies, as well as equity. So all that thing, 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 square kilometer, those things. We'll be talking about that at 7 o'clock. Professor Elijah Songok is the acting Director General at KEMRI. The role of KEMRI in health research. Now, this is such an apt conversation today because there are many things that are being said. Yesterday, I saw an article about, and then there was a picture with a baby, and in front was a packet of fortified porridge, uji, and it's a USAID donation. Right? And so they get this fortified uji. It's one of the USAID projects, which obviously, because of the recent announcement, has been pulled. Yeah. So the question then remains, what's going to happen to all these children who depended on this uji every day for their sustenance? Sure. And somebody commented under and they said, what are you talking about? The Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology has students who go to school for 5 years to do this. And they've already gotten, can you call uji powder a prototype, something? Anyway, that they had already come up with this, but what they needed was funding to back that particular research. It never happened. And so now you have people in the country who can actually do this thing, but you don't back it up with the much needed research funds, so then you depend on foreign aid to give your children porridge.
Yep.
Can you see where I'm going with this?
No.
Yeah. Yes?
In villages, I know for a fact, in my village, I know 2 groups of people who figured this out.
Yeah.
They take sweet potatoes, grind it, millet, grind it, maize, grind it, groundnuts, grind it, and they make a mixture, and that is used by primary school children. It's a school feeding program. So what you're saying already exists.
You know,
now
what
imagine what it would be needed to scale.
No, let's put it this way. Kenya and Africa as a whole has a disdain for indigenous solutions, right? So you find, in fact, in my village as well, even for pregnant mothers, there's a whole mixture of things, including omena, that is put in uji. So we do have indigenous solutions. Let's remember, when people were dying of the plague because they don't know how to keep cats and they don't know that a river is not a place to use as an ablution, in Africa, we were feeding our people very well. And I keep telling people, these barbarians came and learned, sorry, not barbarians.
Wait, don't say what you think. Barbarians. I mean, still 6:15, but okay.
No, but they were barbarians. They are Europeans. Barbarians were Europeans.
I'm not arguing with you.
Yes.
Just relax.
So they came to learn so much from Africans, but now Africans look at our own indigenous knowledge and think it is not worthwhile.
This is true.
This is a problem.
And I think this all surrounds the research conversation that we'll be having this morning, because those are the intrigues that essentially make up the argument around why nations ought to put this much needed research funding behind these organizations to do what they can indigenously.
Which is why you're thinking of children. There's something called food by prescription.
Yeah.
That was specifically conjured up for people who are HIV positive, probably couldn't eat some disease, opportunistic disease has gotten the better of them. That stuff was fortified uji. My friend, it worked like magic.
Made by Kenyans, Abi?
No, USAID.
USAID.
But I am simply saying, given the discussion we've had, it is something that can be done locally.
There you go.
Because they even indicate to you what the ingredients are.
Yeah, true. But you know what to do? I am tired of Kenyans drinking champagne and French people don't take busa.
But
you're tired.
They taste the same.
By the way, they do. They actually taste the same.
I am so tired of, it came from Champagne in a valley. Come on. There is also Western Kenya. It came up atop a mountain, Mount Elgon.
You can bottle the stuff, don't worry. We see where you're going, don't worry.
In fact, we see where you've arrived at.
You see the way
but I actually quit drinking.
You see the way you're talking about how...
It's not you, it's
no,
your
we
village.
We get it, don't worry.
We've got it. Busa, we've got it.
Yeah.
We see you put it in a bottle.
To be a big export.
Busa champagne.
And finally, at 9 o'clock, we will have a conversation with Jeffrey Okoh. He is the Member of Parliament from Bury North. There's talk about burying the political hatchet. Somebody wants to bury something. There's a hatchet. It's hanging around somewhere. There's somebody's holding on to the blade. Somebody's holding on to the wood. And they're saying, you know what? Let's take this thing and just put it in the ground and move on. Well, we'll find out the intrigues of those at 9 o'clock. So those are some of the conversations that we will be having this morning. Thank you for getting in. No exits till 10 o'clock. And as we do that, we are glad that you're already in the room with us today. How about we say hello to those of you who've already clicked in this morning? Not to forget that our live streams are up on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on X. I want to say hello to our folks on X as well, because sometimes is it that we just see you but we don't see you. We see you definitely every day. Morris is already here in the room, clicking in and saying good morning. And also having you here is really great. Oh, Lydia, there's another Lydia who has greeted and says, say hi to Lydia. Lydia, have you been greeted? Say yes. Thank you very much. She's even smiling. If you guys see Lydia's dimples, it'll do a doozy on you, I'm telling you. So, I'm even talking to myself on the phone. Okay, here. So many people online today. Are we safe? Even the dead are being abducted, disappearing from the morgue. Wow. Don Sabo, good morning. How are you, Ndu, CT, and Mark? So this is where you answer. How are you?
Very, very well.
And you? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're asking me how I am?
Yeah.
You had already asked me.
No, it's not me now who is asking. It's Don. Don is asking, how are you?
Hi, Don. I am well, thank you.
You see? Okay. Desmond Otis says, hello, Spice. Homer Bay and Sigei are competing on crime scene areas. Love you all, viewers and listeners. Wow, okay. Joe Mungai tuned in from Bonnie Lake in Washington. Hello, good people. Someone tell Gachagua that we do not have a shortage of political parties. We have a shortage of leaders who can be trusted. Wow. Robert Mbogo is tuning from Mombasa this morning. Rose Grace is tuning from Tamu and says, blessed Tuesday, Ndu, CT, and Mark. Well, to you too, sister. Good morning, SpiceFM family. Good morning to you. CT, your age mates are in the village. What does that mean? Linus Gitonga, good morning. All roads lead to Wamunyoro.
It means they have retired and they're in the village. That's what it means. So he's actually telling me that I should actually go home.
You should go to the village.
And look after goats. Let me acquire the goats first.
Get the goats first, then we can think about moving.
Yes. So far I don't have them, but I'll acquire them. When I acquire them, I'll inform him. And then he can come and visit me.
What is this that magically happens when you are a certain age? You're supposed to
go to the village.
Certainly be capable of herding goats. Unless those goats can listen to cities' proverbs every morning.
No, it's a skill set I will acquire with time.
You will?
Yes, because acquiring them, then looking after them.
It's all
it will come in, and please thank that. For the suggestion. I thank them.
Okay, thank you.
And when they also make a similar step, let me know so that I can also visit them.
Very good, thank you.
Yes.
Linus Gitonga is tuned in this morning and says all roads lead to Wamunyoro. Really? Agola, good morning, sister. How are you? Margaret Wanjo, he says good morning, all Spice FM Situation Room from Houston, Texas. Let's continue the great conversation. Thank you for being here. Erica War is here. And Gore, good morning from warm Nairobi. And Globetrotter. Transoia today, Netherlands tomorrow, Nairobi the next day. Now, Apenda Sana, Sekunjema, thank you very, very much. Mashari and Jerry was also tuned in this morning. Leo, hello, Princess Ndu, good morning. CT and Mark, no capitation, no teachers, no textbook, despite announcement that they are being supplied. Results, parents will have to foot the bill for the above, and kids will start dropping. Oi. Amesia Sava says, good morning. Getting you loud and clear from Taveta. Ednah says, good morning. Good morning to you, brother. Good morning, Team Spice from Colchester in the UK. Chris Mora says, good morning. It's a Tuesday. It's a cold morning. Okay. Somebody, you people should hear now. They've started soliciting me in public. Colin says, and I'm even outing him, Princess Ndu, please ask Lydiah. They have now told me to now start looking for them. Lydiah, are you listening? Will you be my Valentine? I'm just the messenger.
And may I suggest something?
Suggest it very.
You know, it's an occasion that presents itself once in a year. Can we start a business Valentine for hire for rent?
I'm telling you, City. In fact, let's sit down and today we can finish this proposal contract.
So that this anxiety is stopped. Kabisa, if you don't have Valentine,
you can hire a guy to bring flowers.
You can even hire a lady if you want for day. Valentine. Somebody you need to give flowers to,
and we'll keep the prices low.
No, just small commission.
Small,
very, very small. Commission.
Advertise your loneliness with us only on SpiceFM in the morning. Spice up your Valentine.
How can it be loneliness and it's only for one day? For heaven's sake.
Bernardito is here. Will says, new day to the nation. Agola says, Aish, one day we should do a duet. Come, my sister, come, let's sing. Happy Tuesday from Pwani at Kilifi. I want to do this. Karibuni to our screens. Well, thank you very much, Isaac. Do you have a rich alto? I should go and sing in the choir. I'll go and sing in the choir. Hey, my mother would be so happy. We see you, Maina. Irene, good morning. We love you too. Victor, good morning as well. Josephat is also tuned in. Wonderful team. Asante Sana. Kibara is also here. Atiano CT, you are a sight for sore eyes. Well, you people this morning, I'm finished with you. It's over. You guys, I'm
sight
done.
For sore eyes.
Hey! Have you guys ever seen City blush? It has happened today.
We have seen a few more teeth as well.
My goodness.
Mark, these teeth are not hired, they are mine. They're not rented, they are mine.
Good morning, everybody. Karibuni Sana, thank you always for being here in the room. And yes, we guys, Charles, we see you. Thank you for being here as well. Okay, we went to Djibouti, where they have some of the best tasting red tuna. And there's a restaurant on the ocean in Djibouti City, just at the shore, where they sell this delicious red tuna. Anyway,
as opposed to what are the colored tuna?
There's yellowfin. There's I don't know, but I don't know the red stuff.
I think it's just red and yellow.
I think it's red and yellow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, there is true tuna. There's skyjack tuna. There's mackerel tuna. Just so that you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Inakuwaga hivyo.
Learn every day.
Lakini ile ya red.
Na kuna zingine pia sijataja.
Sawa.
Have you seen him prance around on his seat?
No, he's been told he's a sight for sore eyes. It's over. I'm telling you, there's nothing he'll tell CT again until next year.
And there's bluefin tuna as well.
Bluefin, it's true.
Yes,
See? Your minds openeth up.
Thank you.
We hear it thee.
Once upon a time, in the ancient days and in biblical times and even pre-biblical times,
it's not the problem.
There was a nation that was referred to as Punt.
Yeah, Puntland.
Puntland. Yes. Okay, Puntland in reality was what we now call Somaliland, what we now refer to as Eritrea, and what we now call Ethiopia, and what we now call Djibouti. It formed what was referred to as Puntland. Yes, a little history for your consumption.
It explains why there are pyramids across those countries.
Indeed. Indeed. Sudan is not to be left out, by the way. So that you understand. Because you're talking about people whose complexion was darker, of a darker hue than the people who even came up with that particular word.
And it's interesting that much of the wealth of Egypt was actually found by trading with Puntland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's like a queen. Somebody had an interest in Puntland.
Well, this is true.
I think her name was Bathsheba. Yeah, not Sheba, Bathsheba. All right. The proverb for the day, for this wonderful land that was once part of Puntland. A guest who breaks the plate of his host is not soon forgotten.
Especially if it's 1990 and it's my mother's plates, yes.
Was it the one that red and white set?
The one that matched, that was at the top of the cupboard.
Why are they always at the top of the cupboard?
So that they don't get broken.
But that is the place where they will get broken from, because if somebody who is vertically challenged, sort of like tries to reach for them, there will be a problem.
Well, there was often a problem. But there was a set that I don't think we ever got to use.
Yes.
We just never got a VIP guest high enough.
It was meant for visitors, Chief, and you are not a visitor.
Actually, it's true. It's true, because even as you say it now, I remember those places, my mother would never use them. And then one day when we decided to use them, and Uncle Chukuma's son, you know Chukuma?
Yes.
Uncle Chukuma's son, now, after we had lunch, now proceeded to knock the thing off the table. And it broke.
So you remember the story today?
Yes.
Was he soon forgotten?
My mother's face, the image of her face will be forever etched in my mind. We never use those plates again.
I just want to ask. There were some metallic plates that we used to use as children. Am I the only one? Because I can see people look at me, metallic. There were even cups.
Yeah,
oh yes,
for children.
We had those. They were unbreakable. In fact, some had permanent dents on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. At least that will be established. A guest who breaks the plate of his host is not soon forgotten.
Nope. Not soon forgotten at all. That's very true. Well, interesting to see how that will be interpreted today.
Yeah, but also plate is a metaphor for many things you could break and not be forgotten.
That's true. It's like somebody's heart.
Yes. Valentine's.
In that case, you'll have taken their shine away.
You have taken their sunshine away. Still in top form today.
He's hitting for the rafters.
George Okoh is telling me that there's no red tuna. It actually is just red in appearance, but it's actually not a red tuna. But look pretty red on my plate, that's for sure. Okay. No biggie. There's Lydiah. She has just gone outside.
She's passing.
She's running from us. Lydiah, beg, tell Avin to give us the other newspapers if you don't mind. Let's take a look at these papers, shall we? Just briefly at the headlines and then we go to a break. Chiefs abducted is what's on the front page of the Standard. A day before President William Ruto embarks on a tour of northeastern Kenya, suspected Al-Shabaab terrorists struck, picking up 5 administrators who were planning the visit. Where? 5 administrators allegedly kidnapped by the terrorists as they were heading for a meeting to plan the president's tour of northeastern region. Some of the other headlines that we see: after GMOs, talk of super babies gaining traction. Have you seen the size of some of the babies that are being delivered, my friend?
Have you seen the size of babies in general? From any age, actually, from 0 to 2. That's a baby age?
0 to 2? 0 to 24 months? Yes, that's the age.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, let's look into that story, shall we? New NSF rate to trim pay further, just as, City, what's that thing you normally say? Just when you thought you were out of the water or inside the water.
Just when you thought it was safe to get into the water.
Then now there's a shark now waiting to eat your leg, and that shark is called new NSF rates. Just be ready. Boundaries woes to get worse after AG plea. The Attorney General has told the Supreme Court judges that there is no time to review boundaries, meaning the 2027 poll will be conducted with outdated units. Sawa, there's no time. The next poll is in less than 2 years.
Yes.
And we're supposed to have done this.
Is it permissible to ask this time we speak of, because it seemed to be center stage of the discussion, how much time would have been enough?
Perhaps from 2022.
No. This one I'm asking a specific question, and I'm asking the AG. Is it, or maybe she has explained it, but what time would have been enough for this to have happened? Because if you say it isn't enough, then you're suggesting that there's something which would have been enough. What is it and which is it? But anyway, please continue.
Maybe they should tell us how much time they
according to
need.
the law, wasn't it? The law said it was supposed to be 2024, right? That was the deadline.
That's when it should have been done.
Yeah, it wasn't done. So some people broke the law. Same AG. What do you do with these people who broke the law? We're going to be told the matter was caught up in court, Cynthia.
Anything is possible, I'm
yes,
telling
and
you.
because it was in court, we couldn't do anything. Okay?
Sadly.
Really? Okay, carry on.
There was a trumpeter, a Kenyan trumpeter, McKinley Mutsembi, will know after verification whether he has broken the Guinness World Record. Whether he's broken the Guinness World Record after completing a 24-hour trumpet-playing marathon on Saturday. My God, you gotta have some.
There's another Kenyan who also hugged a tree.
Intentionally?
Yes, and broke the Guinness World Record for hugging a tree for a certain length of time.
Oh my Lord, these things are getting more and more interesting, aren't they?
I thought the Guinness Book of World Records was starting to remove pointless world records. That most number of matchsticks on your head, for example.
I know, some ridiculous stuff, man.
Yeah, but that's fine. I mean, if no one has ever done it before, I mean, why are you setting limits?
You can do anything. That's
that's precisely the point.
Okay, so we shall set the record for most SpiceFM in the morning.
That's what we're talking about. See, now I like it when you think like that.
Yes.
Ramaphosa versus Trump over land policy. This could get sticky, actually. Let's wait and see what that all looks like. CT, before you give us those headlines on the Star, let me tell you what's on the front page of The Nation, if I can find it. Tuck. No, because inside Ruto's policy U-turns. Did you know there's something like that?
Well, but I thought you were going to tell us about it.
We'll do, but I'm just telling you what the headline looks like for now. So apparently there are policy U-turns. I'm trying to get that page. I will get back to it now before we get the physical paper. But then let's get into the Star as I do that rather.
Did you, before CT goes, still on the Standard? I think I shared this story yesterday because I couldn't believe it. Doctor accused of raping patient at Coast Hospital.
Yeah, you're going to give us that story after we come back and do the headlines. You'll tell us about that because that was quite a big one at the hospital. And I mean, it's crazy. Go.
Today, the Star is free, not for sale. But inside the Star, you have MyGov for government tenders and job opportunities. Okay? It's a pull out in the Star. So the Star is bigger than it normally is. All right? Top right-hand corner in Till Green, book review. Remember, there's this book by Judge Asenath, okay? She speaks on why she almost sued Uhuru for defamation.
Almost.
Didn't quite, but approached it. Yes, and she moved on, okay? Then Gachagua allies in committees targeted in fresh radical purge, okay? President William Ruto and opposition chief Raila Odinga's troops are plotting radical changes in leadership and membership of parliamentary committees. And the story goes on. Back to Nyanza, Ruto Raila to headline investment summit. President William Ruto will this week make yet another trip to the lakeside city for the official opening of the Nyanza International Investment Conference. Okay? Have you heard? Very good. Then, bang in the middle of the paper, campaign. Ruto has started the year with a series of tours of Nyanza, Western and Rift Valley. Yes, he has, but he's also going to the northeastern part of the country. Remember the place where certain chiefs were abducted?
Yes.
Yes, he's also planned to go there. All right? This is bang in the middle of the paper.
Okay.
Why 2025 promises political fireworks, okay? The works will be on fire. Gachagua is already working to build new alliances with Azimio Top Guns disgruntled by Raila Odinga. In the picture, we have President William Ruto, we have former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i, we have Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, and Busia Senator Okiya Omtata. These are the pictures that are there. Ostensibly, this is supposed to indicate to us that these are possible presidential candidates for 2022. So, are the campaigns on or are they not? What did I say?
22.
You know what I meant.
Okay.
Yes. We're in 2025, for heaven's sake, so it can't be 2022. 2027.
Do people have Lydiah is around here somewhere?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know,
And when she walks in the room, you can feel the presence.
Lydiah today, Sasa. If somebody was doing the work of the Lord, they would put the camera on me.
Yes.
So that people can see who is standing next to me. So
What
that
is-
this story, we can just bury it once and for all.
Deal with Dimple
We just
Gate.
deal with it once
We
and
shall
for all,
call
and
it
we
Dimple
finish.
Gate.
Because we are going to go to a break right now, and then we're going to look at traffic, and then we will come back and continue with what? With looking into the headlines in more detail. Sawa sawa. Hey, are we even ready for that? Not quite. Okay, let me just look at that. A couple more headlines. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to come in and look at traffic, and then we're going to come back and continue weather and traffic, and then we'll come back and continue looking into more of these stories in detail. It is 24 minutes to 7 o'clock. We'll come back and continue in a short while.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Some days just have you feeling, you know the ones. Very few aha moments. Just moments. Maybe even a few Because how can a day this good feel so meh? But then, you realize your moment of escape is a cup of indulgence away. Delamere.
Get lost in rich, creamy, flavorful bliss with
Mostly clear conditions in Nairobi, 15 degrees. It's 13 and cloudy in Nakuru, and mostly clear at 10 in Nyeri. 12 degrees and mostly clear conditions in Eldoret, and into a mostly cloudy Mombasa at 24. It's 25 and cloudy in Malindi. 19 clear conditions in Kisumu, and it's mostly clear at 13 in Kakamega. 19 and clear in Kampala, while it's cloudy at 27 in Dar es Salaam. Looking at partly cloudy conditions at 19 in Johannesburg, and at 23 it's partly sunny in Mogadishu. 8 degrees and clear in Addis Ababa, while Lagos at 27 is cloudy. Kinshasa at 25 is cloudy. It's -1 degree and partly sunny in Beijing, highs of 2, and -1 and a foggy morning in Paris, going to highs of 8. It's 7 and cloudy in London, going to highs of 11, and at 7 degrees it's mostly cloudy in New York. That'll be the high, coming down to lows of 4.
Spice up your life.
Out towards Garden City, so that is starting to build. We will see bumper to bumper action as then you get towards the Allsops Junction, and then out towards Survey. That is pretty busy as well this morning. All right, a quick look at what else is popping throughout the city, and not much actually. It's starting to build on Gong Road, nothing too crazy at the moment, but we've got to look at Magadi Road, which comes off onto Langata Road, and a bit of traffic is starting to build right around Multimedia University out towards Langata Road. Eastern Bypass starting to build as well, coming in all the way from the Ruai Junction, and we'll see traffic build through towards the Cabanas interchange. An eye on all of this is what we'll keep. Let's see what happens in a short while, and we'll talk on Spice FM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Right, at 21 to 7, Mark, tell us that story about this unfortunate incident.
So, unfortunately, at 5 a.m. in Pandya Hospital in Mombasa, a certain renal doctor went to see a patient and both verbally and physically abused her. So this is a doctor who was working at the hospital. He was charged in a law court yesterday and given 500,000 shillings worth of bond. There are also allegations via FIDA Kenya and some groups that similar cases are happening, and urged residents to report cases of sexual harassment by health workers.
Abused her how?
Sexually.
Really?
Yes.
When she went for treatment?
He's actually being charged of rape.
It's a capital offense, you know?
Yes. By a doctor.
He's been accused.
Oh my goodness.
Allegedly.
Hippocratic
oath.
You know, the problem with being accused of anything in this country, especially of such a nature, people seem to assume you're guilty. He's been accused.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, he's been accused, and when you put the other words in the sentence, he's been accused of rape.
Yes. That one now.
By the time you've said rape, my friend,
but you see,
you've already worn the scarlet letter on your chest, and it's not going to be removed.
You see, the problem is, I don't know whether you remember this doctor. This doctor, he there was a whole documentary on him. He's a fake doctor, had been caught once,
for babies.
went to hide again.
Oh, not that one.
Not the one for babies. The one who was caught on video, literally dragging women.
Yes. I remember.
Yes.
I remember.
So there's definitely a pattern, and according to the article, it's something that has happened for a bit.
Well, if they're calling on residents and others to come forward, if they have heard cases of such, and with other doctors as well, or with other individuals as well, then it's probably something that's making the rounds in terms of chatter.
Exactly, and Pandya Hospital really needs to look at its stuff, because apparently there are a few complaints coming out of there, and the timelines are very tight, saying on Friday 31st January 2025 at about 0900, the hospital's management was alerted to a complaint by a female patient from the renal unit in connection with sexual assault by one of their male medical practitioners.
Oh my goodness. It must have been terrible.
Yeah, so sorry for the victim, but I think we really need to make sure our hospitals are safe places.
We need to make sure everywhere is a safe place, because sadly it's like you can't walk anywhere without, that threat hanging over your head.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to look at this story. Editing the future, era of designer babies is coming. All right, seatbelts on, because it's going to be a wild ride. Imagine a world where parents can artificially choose the genetic makeup of their babies. You can say, I want an intelligent baby. I want smart baby, good looking, must be cute with lashes from here to there, devoid of any hereditary disease, cannot look anyhow, you will not have, any kind of any kind of flaw. These desires might be possible if the scientific advancements in genetic editing technology continue at an accelerated pace, and our society resolves the ethical concerns associated with the potential abuse of this technology. The gene is past and we have no control over it today, but soon, with the progress in genetic modification, you will have control over the genes, including those of your unborn baby. This according to Shankar Goel, an Indian space scientist and former secretary at the Department of Ocean Development, Ministry of Earth Sciences. He said that genetically designed babies will soon be a reality for humans, leave alone genetically modified maize that we're all shouting about here, and we say we don't want it on our tables. They're saying, well, soon you'll be able to design your baby. You can go in and you say, the way you create an avatar on your phone or whatever. I want it to have this, I want it to have, rastas, dreadlocks, I want it to have a pin ear, things like that. Now you can actually design, you will be able to design your baby.
Okay.
Individuals may have the ability to control and modify their genetic makeup, including features such as eye color. You can decide now that you want your baby to have green eyes, CT, skin tone, and muscle strength even before birth, that this baby will grow up to be 6'6" later on and will have the strength of an ox and will be able to run through walls like Samson and have long hair like him, and kill people with a jawbone, such things. Now, he said this while speaking, of course, at the National Institute of Oceanography in Goa. He highlighted the potential applications of synthetic biology in medicine, explaining that new drugs could be developed rapidly to combat the emerging viruses. Okay, I'm going to stop there because, right.
Can I read something?
Please do.
Dubai, 25th December of 2024. The Ministry of Health and Prevention has announced that mandatory genetic testing will be introduced as part of the premarital screening program for all Emiratis planning to marry nationwide. They'll be tested for 840 different genetic markers, and you will be told whether your child, through those genetic markers, has the possibility of getting 240 congenital diseases.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's already happening.
You know, this human cleverness is all good and well.
All this human cleverness.
Yes, it is. In the 1950s and 60s, there was a drug that was brought about. You could buy it off over the counter to combat morning sickness. It was called thalidomide. Thalidomide, usually by the time they are selling it over the counter, they've done their tests and what have you.
Yeah.
Now, that's what they thought. What then happened? You'd find children with hands growing on their head.
Thank you, my brother. That is what I wanted to say.
Hands on the head.
Or 2 feet.
Or 2
on
feet.
one leg.
Yes, or 2 hands on one side of the body. Yes, the malformations were bizarre. Okay, I'm simply saying science is excellent and it is good that what they're trying to do. They're tinkering with it. Consequences. They think they have taken everything into consideration. Our human abilities are limited.
Yes.
And if we recognize it and say so, then the tinkering is fine. But when you speak in definitive terms, as though you have actually now found the solution to engineering the perfect human being, it's been tried before with disastrous consequences.
Whatever happened to the idea of natural selection that, I think the human race has gotten to the point where, and especially where, you have met the hierarchy of needs. So the people who are doing this thing, their problem is not bread and butter. The people who are doing it, the problem is not ugali and sukuma wiki. It's not how do we get from point A to point B. Do you understand? They've gotten to a point whereby they have met those things. So now I say, okay, fine. Now that we're here and I can go, it's like, you know how the screen and then you can pick what shopping you want.
Yes.
I want cabbage, I want some minced meat, and I want this and that. And then it's put in the basket and then it's delivered to your house. That is essentially what we are saying that you're going to be able to do in choosing a child.
Become like pizza toppings.
Yes. Would you like some more mozzarella or would you like cheddar instead of Parmesan? I mean, come on. We're talking about human beings now, and that we're saying that you will then be able to select as you want. Just like you're saying, CT, who's to say, and if you've not realized what my opinion on this now is, now you know, who's to say that as you make that selection, right, that the natural order of things will not stand up and say, excuse me, I'm still here.
It will stand up.
I'm actually going to circumvent this whole thing for you, and you will then end up with 2 feet on one leg.
But the truth is, we do not even know yet specifically what the dozens and dozens of different genes codes do. We are still finding out every day. Then number 2, you know where this madness started from? Surrogate motherhood. That you are rich and too busy to be pregnant, so you hire someone else to carry your baby, and then you expect that this baby will bond with you, father and mother.
Although there's a case to be made for surrogacy in some instances when a woman is not able to carry.
That's why my example is because you are rich and busy, not because you have medical conditions. That's a different story. Now, the problem with that is you are throwing money at a natural problem.
This is it. Maybe, but hold on, Mark. Is it even a problem? And that's what I'm saying.
But it is.
No, hold on. Remember what I said? That you have reached actualization.
Yeah,
the people,
you don't have problems.
You don't have a problem of what I'm going to eat today.
Like Kanye and his wife.
Who showed up doing nonsense. Yeah. Look, you don't have a problem of what you're going to eat today by the time you're sitting in front of a screen and saying, I want my baby to have one green eye and the other one must be blue, and they should be able to change with the change of the sun. For God's sake, that's not your issue. So by the time you have achieved self-actualization and you're able to make that decision, it is not a bread and butter problem that you're dealing with. But then you're going ahead to tinker with the natural way of doing things. And that's when the person who came up with the phrase that Mother Nature will fight back knew exactly what they were talking about, and we're not just talking about water in a stream that finds its way back to its
course.
First
of all, this gentleman called Maslow, those Maslow's laws were as realistic as a flying pig, because
as a flying pig.
Yes, I thought we were together.
There was never any peer review. There was never any scientific basis for the things that he said, and it has been challenged over and over and over again and found to be just thoughts that the man had and it appealed to. There's no scientifically tested basis for Maslow's hierarchy of basic needs. Yes. And you can challenge them even one by one, because according to what they say, self-actualization, what happens? When you've met basic needs, blah, 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 blah.
Then you can start to travel the world.
Yes. As if everybody wants to travel the world.
Well, if it's Elon Musk, you want to go work for the Department of Government Efficiency, so...
Precisely, that's him. You see, You ask your villagers what it is they feel is the optimum need they have.
I'll tell you a story. 2012, I think it was, I go to the village and I have one of those brand spanking new Nokia phones, you know, when they just started having cameras, etc. And my good neighbor was willing to sell me a piece of his land for the phone because that was self-actualization. He would have the best phone in the village.
Yes, exactly. So, when you start tinkering with nature, as you call it, the natural order of things, be very careful. Be very careful. You usually have no idea what it is you're unleashing.
I'm telling that's
Look,
the thing.
This is the thinking that was brought about by people who believed that there were some races that were superior to others.
Yeah.
Yes.
And decided that what you needed to do is that you need to have the superhuman. And what was the superhuman? Skin, the color of cream. Eyes, the color of the sky. Hair, the color of just harvested golden maize. Some rubber utter nonsense.
Yes.
And they sought to exterminate all others who did not look like that.
Exactly.
So that these people could then breed amongst themselves and just have this one race.
Yes.
Do you remember eugenics?
Hey.
When they literally castrated people not to produce because they did not deem them worthy of reproduction. And these things have been there.
That's why I said
trying to breed for total height, blonde hair.
Think about it. You, as a human being, have decided what you think is optimum.
Yes.
You have decided. Human thinking, by its very existence, is limited.
Yes, true.
But you present it as though it's an absolute.
You will not be able to figure this thing out. You will not be able to know down to the very detail, to the minute atom, to find out exactly how then can we tinker with this thing and make the perfect baby. Let me tell you something. Natural, by definition, means just that. That you will get to a point whereby you will not be able to control it. So what are we doing?
Page 14, similar topic. Let's legalize euthanasia to save terminally ill patients from pain.
Okay.
This is the second time I'm seeing it in a paper. There was also some move for parliament to legalize euthanasia. Similar problem. How do you determine that this person has really given up?
How do you determine that this thing is beyond hope? Because even as we say it's beyond hope, we have not one or two cases, many cases of people whom we have been told medically nothing can be done. And then that person, and then it's explained.
Wakes up.
Yeah.
Yes, remission.
Yes.
Okay? Miraculous recovery.
The people who've been brain dead for 20 years and woke up.
So, look, there are things that you need to go about understanding your limitations as a human being and stating so. Okay? Why do you think that every time you buy a drug by the packet or by the box, there's some long written things, contraindications in small print?
Just so you know.
Yes.
That is possible.
It's telling you when you do this in the daytime, this will happen. In the middle of the night, this will happen. If you're expecting this, you shouldn't take this.
Yeah.
Why didn't they bother?
Why? It may sound so prescriptive, and I think there may be nothing wrong with that. But what would be wrong with, because the kind of, let's just talk about the kind of resources that would then go into something like this, these things that we are speaking of, is monumental, is it not? And that you would have to spend millions and millions, and let's just say dollars for that sake. And then, why can't you funnel or channel that money to do something that is actually going to benefit the human race?
You see the thinking, when you seek, for instance, to cure diseases that are considered incurable, this tinkering begins with this genetic engineering. There's a gene that causes this problem. There's a malformation that you see in this gene. So if you tinker with this gene and move it to the left as opposed to center, then perhaps this would happen. There are studies that have been done to do precisely that. But there's always that person who takes it a step further.
This is and that is that not the danger?
That is always the danger.
That people have said, you know what? Look, the problem is not that you're trying to do something better, or that you're trying to have a new and improved formula for food. The problem is that there will be dissatisfaction at some stage that is going to push you to want to do more. Now, it started with GMO. It didn't start with food. It started with other things, whereby you want to tinker with the natural selection of something, and then you think, oh, okay, so if I can do this, then perhaps I can do this, and now you can grow a chicken in a dish for example,
Yeah.
you can.
Well, it's happening.
That's what I'm saying. You can grow a chicken in a dish. You can grow a chicken in a lab, and then put it in the stalls for somebody to buy and put it in their pots tomorrow. You can do that. Then somebody says, "Oh my word! If we can grow a chicken, then we can grow a baby."
Yeah.
Do you see?
Yes.
There's a guy called Alfred Nobel. This guy was a chemist. All he did was he mixed nitroglycerin with some other properties, and believe in the 19th century's invention made it possible for roads to be built where nobody had ever thought you could
For
build.
sure.
And what else did dynamite do?
Make
Blew up
bombs.
things.
Killed
people.
Yes.
That's the problem.
You see, that is the thing that we always have to consider.
And that is why the Nobel Prize exists, because he regretted his invention.
He did,
Yes.
mightily. He was very wealthy as a result of it, but he regretted. And yet, what he invented was good.
It was.
Well, but also let's remember some inventors who've regretted what they've done, and it was not good. The inventor of pop-up ads gave an apology for ruining the internet. Yet he made a lot of money.
Well, Mark.
Well, why don't you look for something to apologize about?
Indeed. No, I just think, look, this baby story, and the thing is that if people are already making trips, people are already saying, I can make the super baby, I can, you already have the super food, I think we're pushing the envelope.
The pushing of the envelope in and of itself is actually not a bad thing, so long as fail-safe measures are put in place. So you understand.
There it is. That you have to have something that
Yes,
puts in place as
yes,
a checker.
yes,
there
yes,
has
yes,
to be a check.
yes.
Because we can do. You will now. What did we see with the famous story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? What did we see? That you eventually created something and it became a monster that was essentially going to attack you. Right? Those are the things that we're dealing with. People you go and take baby lion and you put it in your house, and then you keep it as a pet. Then lion baby cub grows up into lion.
What do you think is going to happen?
Eats you. Then you start complaining tomorrow that lion ate me. What did you expect was going to happen? This thing is supposed to be in the wild. Then you're complaining that the lion did not meow. Are you crazy? What did you expect?
In our defense, it is not an African problem. Africans do not keep lions.
Is it Africans that are making super baby?
No. By the same token, Africans don't keep snakes as pets. And those who do are called witch doctors.
Then you'd be surprised that the thing bit you. What do you expect? So now you want to tinker with something in the lab, and then you will be surprised one day when it grows into a monster. What do you expect? What do you expect? I think we need to be careful about some of the things.
That's why the world of research, because it knows the extent and the limits that human beings can go to. Believe me, that's why you have checks upon checks upon checks upon checks upon checks before anything of that sort can actually go in. You'll be checked until you get tired.
You need to.
Yes.
Because, and this is a thing that we cannot divorce the need for innovation, from the human race. We have to. I think we do need to innovate. But those checks that we're talking about are highly, highly necessary. Otherwise, we get into a pot of trouble that we really are not going to be able to handle.
Do you know the thing about CRISPR technology, just to get you shocked a little bit? There are Americans and Europeans who are doing it in their garages, and they've successfully made glow-in-the-dark frogs. So yes, those checks and balances do not happen in people's garages. Yes. So city, coming near you, glow-in-the-dark frog.
It's all right.
Okay.
Can they have glow-in-the-dark snakes also?
Of course, that's more useful.
Yes.
So we in like 10 seconds, right? This boundaries will to get worse after AG plea. AG comes to the Supreme Court and she basically says, you know what? Yes, we know that there was supposed to be a boundary review, because essentially what happens is that if you do a boundary review, then should we add more constituencies? Do we reduce the number of constituencies because we can then put people together? Well, she says, we've not done it, sorry. And actually, we don't have enough time to do it before the 2027 election. So what does that mean? That you're going to then go into another election with the same numbers that you had before. And then what does that mean? That then it's possible that you will be doing all of this.
My friend, people are going to go to court.
Yes, now.
You could actually nullify any process of election in the absence of this.
Because you didn't do it.
Oh, yes.
That's why she's going to beg the Supreme Court so that nothing like this will happen.
We have a catch-22 situation here.
Yeah, and then remember, MPs don't want these changes.
Of
you
course
want
they
exactly the same people who voted for you in exactly the same places. So, yeah. Battle Royale loading.
Let's talk about what will happen with revenue allocation. A commissioner from the commission will be in the hot seat. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. First and second year university students will start receiving their help funds today if the government makes true to its word that they disbursed 3.1 billion shillings yesterday using the old model. HELB's lending manager Kingori Ndegwa blamed the delay on the outcome of an appeal challenging the High Court's suspension of the new framework. The announcement follows protests at various institutions on Monday led by University of Nairobi students who stormed HELB's headquarters in Nairobi to demand the immediate release of their loans. Elsewhere, the Technical University of Kenya has been closed indefinitely after an exam scheduled to take place at the university yesterday morning failed to start. A striking staff rejected the Vice Chancellor's request to proceed with the tests. The lecturers are demanding for their pay that they were actually meant to receive in the month of December. They vowed not to return to work until their grievances are resolved. Now, Kenyans have been worried on whether they are going to pay more taxes. Well, according to the Treasury CS John Badi, he has vowed that no more tax will be on Kenyans' pay slips. An uncomfortable seat on the terrace for the cabinet secretary actually made National Treasury John Badi and Kenya Revenue Authority Board Chair, who was the list of their worries in the inaugural visit to Bunge la Wananchi. Badi, who has been keen on communicating the government expenditure, took the hit for the government's continued raid on the payslip, further assuring Kenyans that there is no more space for taxation on employment income. Members of the public further took the cabinet secretary to task of a government expenditure ranging from State House renovations, with most questioning whether the government's misplaced priorities in this regard to its own austerity measures. Badi further said that since the money had already been used, the best he can do is make sure that such an amount of money is not spent come next time on matters of renovation in State House. And moving on, the search for 5 chiefs who were kidnapped by alleged Al-Shabaab militants in Mandera continues. This event comes as the president is meant to visit the area and launch some projects. Authorities reported that the administrators were traveling to El Wak when they were ambushed and abducted by the militants between Mbamba Olwo and Erus Suki. Mandera South Police Commander Julius Njeru confirmed the incident, stating that the victims were en route from Ouagadougou to El Wak when the attack occurred. It even comes at a time when abduction cases have been on the rise in the nation, with Kenyans criticizing police officers to be the ones who are behind the attacks. And finally, the High Court has directed the National Transport and Safety Authority, Director General and Traffic Commandant to return motor vehicle registration number plates unlawfully impounded from operators. According to Justice Bahati Mwamuya, the decision by NTSC to remove number plates belong to matatu operators was unconstitutional. He pointed out that the constitutional petition filed by 14 matatu operators has raised serious issues that the court finds and holds that the orders sought should be granted with immediate effect. The petitioners, through their lawyers Dunstan Omari and Shadrack Wambui, indicated that several matatus have been unlawfully impounded and their number plates taken away by NTSC and traffic police officers. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Good morning and welcome to the second hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this Tuesday morning. And as we get into it, our live streams are up on YouTube, on Facebook and on X. Welcome to our audience on KTN. Good to have everybody in the room this morning, in the Situation Room. And we'll be getting into a couple of conversations this morning. But you know what? They say that very few people with mortgages in Kenya. And we know that people want to get houses. And we know that sometimes it can be crippling in terms of how much you have to pay every month to have this house if you want to call it your own. But CT is like Santa Claus in February because he's got this information about what you can do to get a mortgage and not have to, break your back for it.
Actually, that is it. You actually answer the question by asking a question. How do you afford a house without necessarily breaking yourself financially? Okay? And Diamond Trust Bank says, look, we have a solution for you. The solution is simply this. We have partnered with the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Institution to ensure that the mortgage we give you, if it's 10 years, if it's up to 25 years, that you pay an interest rate that is competitive. You're talking about 9% per annum, but it doesn't move. It's 9%. It's certainly not going to jump up because some inflationary thing has popped up. 9.75 if it's for 25 years. And they're saying, look, we understand the needs. We understand. But all this understanding comes about and it's actually brought into shape when you come and talk to us. We are offering financing of up to 105%. 105%. I'm repeating it because people say 100%. 105. This will take care of all the costs that you normally have. If you are in the diaspora, if you have a business, if you are employed, please come and talk to us. In the diaspora, it'll be up to 80%.
Okay.
But it begins the conversation. And the conversation begins with you getting in touch with Diamond Trust Bank. Now, you can do one or two of the following. One, you can either decide that you are going to call on any branch of Diamond Trust, or you're going to email them on mortgages@diamondtrustafrica.com.
Super. Now, City, when you want to send money to me?
Yes, when I want to send money to do.
And now before, as you've been trying, you've said, it's taking too long, I can't do. This is now when I was out of the country.
Yes, I remember, and it was difficult.
It was very hard, isn't it?
Yes.
And then you said, how I wish there was a way that I could send it to you and you didn't have to wait for 3 days, you didn't have to do something, long thing. I have the answer. So that now when I go again, we were not going to have the same problem. Sawa? It's called Virtual FX. And all those problems that you had, it is sorting them out one by one.
Gone.
I'm telling you, out the window. Quick payments, 1212. You've sent the money. In minutes, I have it on the other side, right? I know, slow payments, it's high fees, and then they used to charge you a lot of money, and then constantly worrying about exchange rates. How do you change Kenya shilling, dollar, naira? How's it not going to happen anymore? It can feel like you're losing money every time when you do that. But with Virtual, they say it's faster, it's cheaper, it's cross-border. No hidden fees, no delays. Whether you're paying international suppliers, like myself, managing the treasury or handling payments for your customers, again, like myself, we've got you covered. Virtual FX gives you the tools to send and receive money across 190 countries in 49 different currencies. So, brother, you don't have to worry anymore. And then if you need more information, you just need to go to www.virtualfx.com. Sawa?
Done.
Period. Now, we're still talking about revenue, but now we're talking about how it's going to be allocated across the country. There's a formula and everybody's already shouting. What are we going to do? How are we going to get about it? What is going to happen from county to county? That forms the basis of the conversation that we will be having this morning. And our guest for the hour is already seated. And revenue allocation and the new formula has been, top of mind for a lot of people in the country today, from county leadership and across board to the national government. Hadija Juma is a commissioner of the Revenue Allocation Commission, Commissioner of Revenue Allocation, and she's here in the studio with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very good.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And it's a new year, so we're still saying new year at least until the 14th. After that, we'll be saying other things.
No, until my birthday.
So in other words, what Mark has tried to tell you now is that his birthday is on the 14th of February.
No, it's not.
Until your birthday, April
Fool's Day, yes.
It's true. Okay, until your birthday, say Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right, we'll remember that. I need to remember. So, Karibu Sana, Commissioner.
Yeah.
And before we get into the conversation, let's welcome you properly. CT has gone to another African country this week. He's got a proverb. And you have so many formulas that people are all working with now, but now let's just make life just a little bit more difficult for you. So you'll translate this proverb, tell us what you think about it and how you would, resonate with it. Good?
Yes. She informed me when she arrived that she is scared of the proverbs, that she says the proverbs you have are scary. Now, the proverb I have today is really not scary. It's a proverb that everybody can relate to, and it's not difficult to understand. Okay? Our proverbs for this week come from the Republic of Djibouti. A guest who breaks the plate of his hosts is not soon forgotten. She has laughed.
A guest who breaks
the plate of his hosts is not soon forgotten.
Is not soon forgotten. Yeah. Okay. Ideally, it's expected that when a guest comes at home, they're supposed to behave well. And if they end up maybe breaking a plate, it shows that they've messed up. And when they mess up, then they'll always be remembered for doing the bad thing. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't like those kind of visitors.
Why?
They break your plates and then your mother is mad at you.
Yeah.
It already hurts to host a visitor, right? Your food is less.
Did I get it?
Oh, you are 100% right.
Really?
There are things that people do that guarantee. I mean, when we talk about guests, in an African setting, we think of in-laws.
Yes.
When you visit your in-laws, your behavior is supposed to be at its very, very best.
Fine.
And the things you don't do. For instance, in some communities, they give you a lot of food and they expect you to eat. And that's why people even take with them people who are known to eat well. In some communities, you're expected to say you're full even when you have a headache because of hunger. Yes. So it's understanding, but you are 100% right.
Well, there you go. So, Commissioner, as we get into these conversations and looking at what the new formulas have in store for counties, there's already a bit, of chatter around what this could mean. Let's start from the very beginning and what the Commission takes into consideration when revenue then is being allocated or shared to counties. What are some of those elements? How do you come up with this formula in the first place?
Yeah, thank you so much. The Commission on Revenue Allocation is a constitutional commission established under Article 215 of the Constitution, and its mandate is outlined at Article 216 of the Constitution. And there are several mandates, around 5 mandates, but the principal mandate is to recommend a basis of nationally raised revenues for sharing between the national government and county government and among county government. So the Constitution mandates the Commission on Revenue Allocation to come up with a formula where nationally raised revenues will be shared among county governments and between national government and county government. And then it's important to note that the Commission recommends and then the Senate determines, meaning the final word is with the Senate. So, however, it's also important to note that the Constitution did not give the intervals at which the formulas are supposed to be developed. Although, as a tradition, this is the third commission since the devolution. The first commission came up with 2 formulas at an interval of 3 years. The second commission came up with the third formula, and now this is the third commission that has proposed a 4th formula. And there are several things that are looked at, several parameters given different weights. Maybe I can talk about the current formula, which is the third formula, there are different parameters that are used. There are around 8 parameters that are used to just show how revenues can be allocated. The first parameter is population, that is given a weight of 18%. The second parameter is health, that is given a weight of 17%. We have basic share. Basic share is where now all counties get equal share because of administration purposes. We believe that whether a county is small or big, they have the same number of administration. For example, Lamu County is the smallest county. They have 1 governor. Nairobi County is the biggest county. They also have equally same governor. So basic share addresses the administrative part. And then we have poverty. We look at poverty levels, and the third formula gave it a weight of 14%. We also have something called urban services that is given a weight of 5%. Then agriculture, that is given a weight of 10%. We have roads, that is given a weight of 8%. If you look at these parameters, we always say that we use parameters that compensate each other so that we have a regional balance in terms of resources, regions getting resources or development. For example, urban services as a parameter, it benefits those city counties or counties that have more urban centers and towns. But at the same time, that is compensated with agriculture, because now most of the rural counties will gain from the agriculture parameter. So that is how resources are allocated depending on the parameters. And then we also have land area. Land area addresses the issue of vastness of a county. So those are the parameters that are being used now with the third formula. And now the proposed fourth formula that has brought an uproar. We have looked at 5 parameters. Population at 42%, basic share at 20%, poverty at 14%, and then land area at 9%, and there is a new parameter introduced called income distance, which is at 13%. And income distance is supposed to address those income distance looks at the distance between a county to a county that has the highest GDP. And in Kenya, the county that has highest GDP is Nairobi, definitely. So they look at the distance, and in my opinion, that is I think that parameter is irrelevant.
Can we get it clear? So what are we saying? For example, if I am in...
The far you are from Nairobi.
So if I'm in Lamu County, for example, and depending on how far that is from Nairobi, then I would get more in terms of allocation to the county?
Exactly. That's what that parameter is trying to address. But if you look at devolution, already services have been devolved. So we do not need to allocate resources depending on the distance of a county to Nairobi.
Why would it matter if you're farther or nearer away from Nairobi, if you're again like we're saying in devolution and we are within the devolution process? Many would argue that's still not fully implemented. However, why is Nairobi still being used as a nerve center if devolution has securely taken place?
Actually, that is also my argument, and that is one of the parameters that is bringing uproar in this fourth formula.
But Nairobi controls what? 36% of Kenya's GDP, or is it less than that?
Yeah, it's around 36%. It has the highest GDP.
Yes. So I think the assumption is that there's a lot more business to be done in Nairobi than there is to places that are far-flung. But also let's remember the development along the highway model that we used for a long time. So maybe there's some sense there. Let me start with the big elephant in the room that we always have. Does the government disburse at least 15% of its revenues to counties? Because that's always the elephant in the room. Has it hit 15%? Can we definitively say that?
Yeah, we are actually at 23%.
Awesome.
We are actually at 23%. And it's also important to know that the 15% is just a caution. Yeah, we are not saying that what should go to the counties is 15%. And then the 15% is based on the last approved audited accounts by Parliament. Unfortunately, the last approved audited accounts was in 2019. 2019-2020. So Parliament still owes
it's technically 15%.
Yeah. So we've been actually engaging Parliament and asking them to approve the latest, at least audited account, so that it can increase the allocation to the counties.
I'm sorry.
Audited, not budgeted.
Yeah.
However, the Commission does not work on budgeted accounts.
No.
The Commission works on audited accounts.
Yes.
So how do you give an up-to-date formula for allocation if what you're working with in terms of audited accounts is essentially 7 years old?
Okay, there are two things. One, whatever we allocate resources is based on the projected revenues that are collected. For example, now, the figure that we have given this year, and there's a formula, and then there's the vertical figure that is given annually. So the figure that we are giving this year is based on what the National Treasury projects to collect next financial year, which is 2025-2026. Now, the 15% comes in as a caution that, sometimes National Treasury may under-project. They may give a low figure saying that this is what we will collect. So even if they under-project, the 15% was brought there as a caution so that it does not go below 15%. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said
so whatever is being allocated is based on the projection of the next financial year, not the past, what was last approved.
So what happens if you are below the projections and you've already allocated based on that projection?
It has never happened, and I don't think it can ever happen, because revenues every year in and out, it's always increasing. Like, for example, last financial year, or rather this financial year, the projection was 2.6 trillion. And now next financial year, National Treasury has projected, they had projected 3 trillion, but again, when they looked at the growth, they said they may not be able to target that, so they projected at 2.8 trillion, meaning at least we will have increased by around 200 billion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You said that the Commission makes, I think the word that you used, you said the Commission makes the suggestions or makes the allocation, and then Senate is the one essentially that will determine what will happen.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if Senate says yes, go ahead, that means that they've seen sense in what the Commission has suggested. But now with the uproar that we are hearing, what is the issue with the formula that has been raised beyond this proximity to Nairobi element? Is there anything else that's the problem? I know that one of them is population, but now population being that there's nothing you can do about that. With this, how many people are in a county, for example, and based on that, you allocate resources based on the number of people that you have. So if you have less people, clearly, you have less resources to use. So where is the bone of contention now with this particular formula and how it has been arrived at, apart from this proximity to Nairobi issue?
Yeah, surprisingly, maybe you may not know, as much as I'm a commissioner, I'm one of the commissioners who dissented to the proposal, and I do not agree with it. And when there's an uproar there, I think they're just also speaking my mind because of several reasons. And actually, as much as we are using those parameters, what comes out, the results, is what now people look at more compared to maybe how you arrived at that. And you find that what is actually causing uproar in this proposed formula, there are several things. One, according to fiscal responsibility, no county is supposed to get less than what they got the last allocation. Okay. But when you look at this formula, 21 counties are losing out, and are losing out adversely. Why? For example, Mandera County is losing out by 2 billion If this formula is passed, then it means Mandera County will lose by 2 billion. If this formula is passed, then it means Kakamega County will lose by 1.4 billion. If this formula is passed, it means Kilifi County is going to lose by 1.2 billion, Kwale County by 1 billion, Turkana County by 1 billion. So you find that more than 21 counties are losing, and that is a lot.
Okay, please, Commissioner, walk us through where this loss is coming from, so that we can understand what has been applied that would then bring about the incurrence of loss.
It is because of the parameters and the weights that were used. The parameters that I told you about, the basic share, the population. You see, in the third formula, it was function-based. As in, we are talking about health, we are looking about health, we are looking around agriculture, we are looking around roads, the devolved function. But in the new formula, the Commission felt that we do not need to now to go function-based. They wanted to try something else.
Okay.
And
why abandon the function-based?
Maybe if you just give me time, I explain why there's an uproar, and then I explain that question. One, the 21 counties are losing out. Two, all the city counties are losing out. That is Nairobi, Mombasa, Nakuru, Kisumu, and now Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. They're losing out. You cannot reduce funds from city counties if you want to grow an economy of a country. And that is why so many governors are not comfortable with the formula. Number two, City is asking a very good question. Why abandon this? And that is why I'm saying, as much as we are saying that we do not agree with this fourth formula, we must propose what is the solution. In my opinion, we can still retain the third formula because one, it was function based, and then number two, more functions have been devolved to counties. It does not make sense that we are devolving more functions. The other day you saw more functions were gazetted. We cannot devolve more function to the counties at the same time you are telling them that we are going to reduce their funds. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all, and I agree with you, City, that why do that? And Kenya, I always tell people that Kenya borrowed heavily, the constitution of Kenya borrowed heavily from South Africa. South Africa has used one formula for the past 30 years. What is different with Kenya? We can still use the third, we can still retain the third formula because it was function based, and with the third formula, if we use the third formula, all counties are gaining, and they're gaining evenly. The county that's gaining least is getting around 200 million, and the county that is gaining most is Nairobi County is getting around 900 million. And if you see the spread is even. So the third formula can be retained, and we say that fine, CRA, you tried to maybe show us what else we can do, but this is not working. And when you reduce resources for counties, you are actually killing devolution, and that is not what you want to do.
What exactly was the thinking behind this fourth formula?
Actually, when you change from one formula to another formula, you must have a clear objective.
Yes.
What is it that you are addressing?
Yes.
Are you in a crisis? Are we in a crisis? If you ask me, I'll tell you no. Second, this third formula was developed in 2020. And it was very consultative. City, if you remember, resources are very emotive. And if you remember, there were a lot of divisive politics during that time. And as a Kenyan, I don't think we need to go that route now, because we have subjected Kenyans to so many changes in the past 2 years. Maandamano ya sufuria, maandamano ya Gen Z, and now we want to again divide Kenyans based on this formula. So I feel, and at that time when the third formula was developed, it was run at a figure of 380. This financial year, we are at 387. I feel the difference is very small. We do not need a new formula now. Can we just retain the third formula? Because we do not have a clear objective to change this formula, and there is no crisis that we are trying to address.
So you answered my question. There is no clear objective for creating the new formula. Let me get a little political here. The need for change is often brought about by evidence, by data, that whatever exists is not serving the purpose for which it was intended. So if we introduce a full formula, we would be therefore suggesting that the third formula was not meeting the objectives for which it was brought into being. So the question...
Before you ask your question, let me just localize that statement. Imagine your child is in Form 2 and you sat down and did a budget, kiwi shoe polish, blue band, all of those things. And when he was in Form 2, you determined he needed 10,000 shillings pocket money or 5,000 for that year. Now he's gone to Form 3. There's inflation, etc., etc. Then you decide to give your child, instead of 5,000, you're giving them 4,000 because you've changed the formula. Is that an apt description of what is happening?
You put it well, Mark.
Actually, that's the description. And before I come to your question, let me answer CT. CT, I think there's a tradition in Kenya that if SpiceFM appoints CT, he wants to prove that when I was at SpiceFM, I did something. I think just to put it locally, maybe that is what is happening at the commission, that now that we are the third commission and the formula happens once in your term, we must prove that when we were there, we did something.
Okay.
But I think that is not fair to Kenyans if we just have to do something because we were there. I always say that sometimes it's also good to appreciate the person who was there before you and what they did. And if what they did was good, just continue with that. And that is why I'm still advocating that we retain the third formula, because if you look at the third formula, actually, in terms of allocation, the spread is so even. The spread is so good compared to the proposed fourth formula. Although there was also an issue, we have small counties. In Kenya, we have 6 small counties. That is Tharaka Nithi, Isiolo, Taita Taveta, Lamu, and Elgeyo Marakwet. And these counties are getting less than 5 billion allocation. And actually, they were really complaining, and I agree with them that a county like Lamu, the allocation is 3 billion per financial year. What can a county do with 3 billion? That is so little. So that is one thing that maybe I can say also provoked the commission to start thinking on how they can help these small counties. But I'm telling Senate that this can be addressed at the Senate. We retain the third formula, and then we say that for these counties that are getting less than 5 billion, there is a clause in the Constitution that allows Senate to apply affirmative action. And then they say that no county should receive less than 5 billion. I think that will have solved the problem.
Okay, there's this little... Are we going on to a break?
Yes, we are, but ask your question. No? All right. Let's go on to a break.
I will ask it after the break.
Okay, hang on to that and we'll ask your question. In the meantime, before we do that, there's a gap in the country every now and then. There are folks who enter into the market, 1 million of them every year, and sadly don't have the skills that they need to be able to get into the workplace or being able to start a business. And Mark, tell us who's sorting out those issues.
Well, there's a title and I really like it. It's called KCB 2 Jiajiri. 2. You know what that tells me? That through KCB and what they're doing, through their empowerment fund that they're doing to address the unemployment problem in Kenya that they say is at 12.7% among young people between the age of 35 and 18. 12.7% unemployed, not even counting those that are underemployed. Now, when you look at that, what KCB is offering, and it's brilliant, it is offering a training program to empower and equip unemployed and out-of-school youth working in the informal sector, combines vocational skills, right? So like things that you can practically do with your hands, business development skills, how do you expand your business, how do you do accounts, access to finance and business mentorship. So they're not just training you, but they're also giving you access to finance, the capital that you need to get going. And this is in small and micro enterprises, through various sectors between construction, manufacturing, beauty, personal care, domestic care, automotive, creative economy, ICT, sustainable agriculture, and climate change initiatives, as well as health. So it's a broad spectrum of things. But the point I want people to carry home is not everyone is an entrepreneur, but every entrepreneur will create 2 to ajiri at least.
There you go.
Tujiajiri, like KCB.
There we go. It's 26 minutes to 8 o'clock. We are having a revenue allocation conversation this morning, and we'll continue looking at the intrigues and challenges of that when we come back from this break. Don't go away.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi, 14 degrees, and at 13 it is sunny in Nakuru, 12 degrees and sunny in Nyeri, with 13 and sunny conditions in Eldoret. Mombasa at 25 is sunny, while at 26 Malindi is cloudy, and at 19 it's sunny in Kisumu, with 15 and sunny conditions in Kakamega. 22 and partly sunny in Kampala, going to highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly cloudy Dar es Salaam at 28. Johannesburg at 18 is sunny, while looking into a sunny Mogadishu at 25. It's 9 degrees and sunny in Addis Ababa, while it's clear in Lagos at 27. It's mostly cloudy at 25 in Kinshasa. Morning, and there's bumper to bumper traffic going all the way through towards the North Airport Road and then out towards the Cabanas interchange. Some of that traffic will go through towards Mombasa Road, the rest of it in the other direction towards the city. Looking in northerly, we're looking at traffic then coming off of Kangunda Road, as well as some of that touching on Outer Ring. As you get to the Allsops Junction coming off Outer Ring, you should be all right. Then you're going to get onto the thicker superhighway where there's traffic bumper to bumper coming in from Kasarani out towards Garden City and then through towards the city centre. It's busy on Kiambu Road and very busy as you get into the CBD this morning, but not at a standstill. We'll find pockets of traffic along Limuru Road and as well as on Lower Kabete through towards Spring Valley. Also pretty busy on Langata Road and Ngong Road this morning. Wow, yeah, Langata Road is really doing the thing. Coming off of Magadi Road, which bumper to bumper traffic is well beyond Multimedia University now, and so it is a busy Tuesday morning, and we already are in traffic hour. Talk to us and let's keep it moving this morning. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice.
Commissioner from the Revenue Allocation Commission, Hadija Juma, is our guest this hour, and we're looking at, third formula, to be or not to be. CT, you had a question?
Yes, I actually have 2 questions. One is, let me ring fence my question. When you say 3 billion is inadequate, I can understand from a comparative perspective where you're looking at what other people are getting. I have a problem with the monies that the counties get because my opinion is this. Many counties in this country have indicated that the money they get is beyond their capacities for managing. Because I say this because they seem to mismanage it. One cannot give an adequate, comprehensive account of the monies that they have received. There are more questions than there are solutions to the monies that they have been given. So 3 billion, in my opinion, is still a lot of money. For it not to be adequate, there needs to be demonstrable evidence that in their pursuit of managing the affairs of the citizens of that county, they used the 3 billion and they were short by a certain amount. But so long as we have queries by the Auditor General asking why this didn't go the way it did and why this money can't be explained, whatever money these people are getting, in my opinion, is adequate. Now, let me ask the question. There was something called the Equalization Fund. What is it supposed to do?
Equalization Fund. Okay. Yeah, Equalization Fund is a constitutional fund that was introduced to address inequalities that were there before devolution. And in the first phase of devolution, 14 counties got the equalization fund that is supposed to construct roads, build health facilities, address issues of schools, water, and electricity. Yeah. And the second commission came up with a different policy that said, as much as we are talking about the 14 counties, we still have pockets of marginalized areas in these other counties that can also benefit from the equalization fund. So they went ahead and identified 1,800 pocket marginalized areas that came from 34 counties, and equalization fund is 0.5 of the budget every financial year that goes back
0.5 of the national budget.
Of the national budget, so that goes back to...
Now, when you talk about marginalized communities within other counties, they are a population. And when you talk about the population that you're referring to, where the weight was, 42%?
Yeah, 42%.
Are they not included in that weighting of that particular formula?
They are. In fact, population is also one of the parameters that is used in the equalization fund.
Precisely. So, arguably, yes. Now, how do you balance this population allocation with the poverty allocation? Because I would have assumed that when they say marginalized, they mean poor. People who live in semi-structures, people who live in slum areas and so forth. So you weight the population at this. Then you weight the poverty at 18, okay? So how then are the poor taken care of?
Right.
City?
Yes, please.
Marginalization is not poverty. Yeah.
It's not poverty.
Marginalization is poverty. For example...
What is it then?
Okay, according to how the Constitution has defined marginalized areas, these are areas that do not have access to services. For example, these are areas that do not have access to roads. These are areas that do not have access to electricity in terms of national grid. These are areas that do not have access to water. I want to give you an example.
And of course they are rich.
I was...
Yes. Patently so.
Now, this is the difference. This is the difference, City. Actually, I was brought up in Korogocho slums, and now Korogocho is poor, but is not marginalized. How? Yeah, you are living in poverty. Maybe you will go without food, but a school is just 500 meters away from your home. You will go without food, but there is water, a water source, just 50 meters away from your home. Now that is the difference. So, in fact, the Constitution is very clear on what equalization fund is supposed to be used on water projects, health infrastructure, school infrastructure, and national grid.
May I ask?
Yeah.
I know this still continues to be a rolling question because there are other elements that come in here.
Yeah.
But then, who then is responsible to ensure that the revenue that has been allocated to these county units is actually doing what it's supposed to? I can already hear that the answer is Senate, but then how then does it affect the formula in the future, should you find? Because again, we're going back to audited results. It's not possible for you to know what happened in 2024 if the last completed audited results are from 2019, for example. So how do you ensure? Because for me, it seems like it should be a base point for you to say, okay, here, we gave you X amount or certain percentage to allow you to do 1, 2, 3, water, ensure. So we should have essentially seen the index then drop if we're saying that there was no water, piped water to residents in 2024, but that because of this revenue that has been allocated, we have seen that number drop significantly by certain percent. Does that not come in as an element that then is used to allocate said revenue, or should it not?
Commissioner, let me help you because I disagree.
No, allow her to answer the question.
I am disagreeing with you. Just allow me.
I asked, you can't disagree with the question.
Yes, I'm disagreeing. I'm disagreeing with the premise. Because
he can.
Yes, because your premise is, and I'll go back to the high school example. If your child misuses his pocket money and eats part of the school fees, the process of punishing him is separate from what the fees will be next year. I don't know if I'm making sense. The process of revenue allocation should not and cannot be affected by the reason that Governor XYZ did not do his job. The instrument of punishment is not Senate. There's DCI, it's a criminal activity. There's the Anti-Corruption Authority, it is also a criminal activity. There's the Controller of Budget who also controls budgets for counties. Then there's the Treasury, which is also enabled, as we were told yesterday, I think, to actually stop. So for me, where I sit, I don't think it's a fair question to ask the commission in charge of revenue allocation to also do the work of policing.
If you had listened to my question, you would have heard when I said who is responsible for making sure that the revenue that has been allocated
Actually, I've understood your question, and you are both very right. And you are both
was
very
about
right.
to eat me.
As a commission, our mandate just ends at allocating the resources. We have different institutions with different responsibilities. However, as a commission, we did something called impact assessment of devolution. The past 10 years of devolution, where were we? Where are we? What are the challenges that we've been facing, and how can we address these challenges? Once the report is validated, we'll make it public. It will be a very interesting report. In fact, I'll bring it to Spice so that you can also get to go through it, and that will answer the question of City on why he believes that even a county that is getting 3 billion is a lot of money. A county that is getting 3 billion, City only addresses administrative. 3 billion actually is not even enough for salary. So you find
we are sanctioning their inability to manage their funds well.
Exactly.
So you find that a county that is getting 3 billion, they only remain like around 50 billion for development, and that is why you've seen there's an outcry that there are some counties that are not spending money on development. Although as a commission we've come up with something called recurrent expenditure budget ceilings that is helping counties to guide them. And remember, we allocate, we don't budget for counties.
Madam Commissioner, this prehistoric thinking of political leadership that you must employ as many people as you possibly can. That is not how you grow an economy.
And we are addressing that as a commission. We are addressing that through the budget recurrent expenditure budget ceilings that we've done that for now 2 years, and I want to assure you it has we have seen results in the past 2 years. We are controlling
Madam
that.
Commissioner, I do agree with you. I do agree with you, but you are the guest and you must speak, so please continue speaking.
And then on the question of who must maybe look at how counties are spending money. Different institutions have different roles. The commission allocates the resources. National Treasury ensures that they collect revenues and then disburse the resources on time to county governments.
I don't know about on time, but okay.
They disburse the resources. Once they disburse the resources, now the counties are able now to utilize the resources. However, the constitution brought a caution through the controller of budget, and this controller of budget is the one now who controls how counties spend money. By when now the county have money in their counties, they come to the controller of budget. The controller of budget checks if the money is available, and then they tell the controller of budget, this is what we want to spend on this month or this quarter. And if the funds are available, then the control of the budget allows them to use the money. After they spend the money, now the Auditor General comes in to check how did they spend the money. Now maybe what we need to be asking ourselves, what happens, because if you talk to a common mwananchi, they'll tell you hata sisi hatuoni hii pesa ya county inaenda wapi ama inafanya nini. But now once the auditor, and then the governors will tell you we are spending the money well according to the PFM Act. Now between the Auditor General and maybe anti-corruption and the DPP and the courts, now that is when we need to know what is happening there, because I expect after the Auditor General audits the account and they find maybe there is an issue that needs to be addressed, and if they have enough evidence, they forward the issue to a commission of ethics and anti-corruption, which will now do investigation. And if it's found that actually money was not spent well, or projects that the counties claim they have spent on have not been spent on, and then they take the case to DPP, and DPP takes the case to court. So at that point, that is when we need to ask question that what happens in there.
Because if you're looking at a situation where devolution essentially has been, around for the last 13 years, right? 14 years now. And if County X has been getting, 3 billion shillings every year. And that's the question that CT asks, is that where do you do a trace in terms of all this money that you've been given? And we can see the formula, right? Let's just say that you've been allocated this money. We can see the formula. And certain money should go towards certain things, and that's what it has been allocated for. That you should be able, after 13 years, to see a significant amount of progress.
Friend,
no?
Which governor have we seen since devolution was put in place who has taken the people out of poverty? Which one?
And there's a poverty index here that is used to allocate the revenue. Right?
We have 11 counties that has reduced poverty since devolution. And the city, you know very well, there are counties out there. There may be one or two who are not doing well, but let us just reflect back in our villages. Let us just reflect back in our villages before devolution and now. Honestly, there's a very big difference. And then look at what Honorable Gladys Wanga has done for Homa Bay County. She has really moved Homa Bay County from one level to another. Look at what Mombasa County is doing. And don't just look at the floods, but there are other parameters of development that you look at, and you'll appreciate what Governor Abdulswamad has done for Mombasa County. Go to Central Kenya, and there's something that we are always telling counties. If I were to rate counties from Central Kenya are doing very well. They're doing wonders. Look at what Moranga is doing. Look at what Kiambu is doing. Look at Nyeri, what Mutahi Kahiga is doing. And we always tell governors that give devolution 20 to 30 years, there'll be a very big difference. There are those counties that, depending on the leadership that they chose, their counties will be up there. They will have taken off. But other counties will not have gone anywhere. And from the report, when we did the impact assessment, you'll realize that there is a county in this country you'll go to and you will never see any complete project 10 years after devolution, which is a very sad situation.
That is extremely sad. And first of all, I must commend you on your courage to speak about formulas, because again, we've discussed this almost since last week to this week, where successive governments, successive commissions consider the other commissions to have been either incompetent or not a priority to them. So it's important to hear someone in authority say that sometimes it's important to keep the things that were there behind. My question is this. You've talked briefly about the issue of staff establishment and how much they should be remunerated. Now, I know, for example, the state agencies which have around 95 people, their staff establishment cost is 250 million, and the government gives them 251 million, so they're left with 1 million to do all the projects. So there is a squeeze that when you have bad staff establishments and the cost. So my question to you, when you say that counties need to spend 3 billion, is this 3 billion fixed that you cannot hire below or beyond 3 billion? Can they hire below that? Because one of the biggest sources of corruption, I remember when Governor Simba Arati came in, he had a very public conference establishing ghost workers and things like that.
He went to the stadium.
He went to the stadium. It was a baraza.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is it a big problem in counties that we are overspending 3 billion? Should we spend 3 billion? And to City's question, if you are coming from Lamu, would you need the same staff establishment as Nairobi? Or perhaps you could do with staff for 500 million and spend 2.5 billion actually helping your people.
Mark, the political leadership, and this covers all political leaderships, are not vested in focusing on how to develop the jurisdiction that they oversee.
Yeah.
That's not it. And you can see by their actions.
But that's what I mean.
How do you just employ how can your focus be to employ people? I mean, and then you how?
Boss,
and then you're telling us
they have 12 CECs and then they have 12 advisors in the exact same departments as the CECs, by the way. Yeah?
The SRC, Salaries and Remuneration Commission, has been given a mandate by the Constitution to do staff establishment and the salaries that they're supposed to. So when we are, as a commission, we do our recurrent expenditure ceilings, we use the circulars and the Constitution. And actually this financial year, we have been doing the ceilings for the past 2 years, and we have seen some change, because actually you will go to a county and they'll be like, oh, you mean we are supposed to have only 14 chief officers and yet we have 30. Some didn't even know. But now with this, they now understand, and we have even proposed to the Senate that now they need to give sanctions to these counties that are overemploying. If you are supposed to have 14 chief officers, you go beyond that, there are sanctions that you'll get from the the Senate will introduce.
You actually see that happening?
Yes, it will happen.
When?
And then number 2, there's the issue of recurrent expenditure and development expenditure. I always say that the issue of recurrent expenditure, there's the cure for that, when we are being told that at least a county should not spend less than 30% of the budget on development and not more than 35% on recurrent expenditure. But actually, the issue of recurrent expenditure and development is not just what we see on the surface as development vis-a-vis salaries. It's also the issue of defining what is recurrent expenditure and what is development. You find that counties spend money on maybe training the health practitioners, training ECD. For me, that is development, because it's human development.
You left out benchmarking.
No, benchmarking, that is something else. But now, when it comes to book of accounts, it's recorded as recurrent expenditure, and now that balloons recurrent expenditure, and that is why we have even recommended to the National Treasury, when they're doing the Public Finance Management amendment, they need to redefine what is recurrent and what is development, so that we are not going to cascade counties every day that you people, you are not spending on development, and yet they're spending on some development that is described as recurrent expenditure.
Madam Commissioner, wouldn't you say that development is something that, by definition, must be visible? One must see it.
Yeah, development is visible, but I'll throw back a question to you. If I'm trained by a county government, is that development or what is it?
Yes, it's human resource development, and it must manifest. Meaning, if, for instance, we had a finance department that we said lacked certain abilities, we should then see the management of our finances improve because of the development or the investment we put in the human resource. We should see it. All of it should be manifest.
We should see it, and that is why we're saying we need to redefine that, because even when a governor buys health equipments in a hospital, that is captured as recurrent, not as development. And me and you will agree that actually when a governor buys health equipment in a facility, that is development. And that is where the problem is.
But what he buys, the commodities and equipment, again, they must be visible. You must go to the health facility and actually see them. We hear of the expenditure, but we often get reports that the visibility of the said items that were purchased.
Now hear it from the horse's mouth. The biggest issue with development vis-a-vis recurrent expenditure is definition, because a lot has been done by the counties, and it's captured as, even the tractors that you see governors buy, helping people in the farms there, they're captured as recurrent expenditure, not the fuel that is spent there.
So that human resource investment in the finance department and the economic planning has gone to waste, because it is them who go around defining it and putting it in the column that they shouldn't.
No, it's the Public Finance Management Act of 2012, and that is why we are advocating for its amendment to redefine what is recurrent and what is what is development. And that way now Kenyans will start seeing a big difference. And then the government has a roadmap of achieving the wage bill, curbing the wage bill to below 35% by 2028. And there are so many things that are being done. Stop laughing, City. You need to be proud of your country.
I am very proud of my country because I know my country and I understand my country.
But City, to be very honest, there is lots of county governments that have done very, very well.
Actually,
and what she's talking about...
Actually, 3 counties has achieved that, the cap of, I think it's Elgeyo Marakwet. I'm not sure of the counties, but at least there are 3, and Elgeyo Marakwet is one of them, that their recurrent expenditure is not above 35%. And then around 10 counties have achieved the cap of 30% development expenditure.
And this is something
from zero, we're now talking about 10 counties, and I know we are progressing onward. Although slow, but we are progressing.
We also need to remember it's just been 10 years. Devolution has done a lot in this country.
Indeed it has. I think that we need to keep talking about this because I'm still trying to say that, even when we talk about allocation, to be sure that, that the funds that are being actually allocated, even though they're determined later on, have to be seen to be working. And I think devolution is actually a great thing that has happened for the country. Thank you so much for being here. A Commissioner with Revenue Allocation Commission, Hadida Juma, has been our guest this hour. Asante Sana. The conversations must continue. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm La Ubaga. President William Ruto last evening spoke on phone with His Majesty King Charles III. Ruto shared the details of their conversation, which he said centered on the long-standing and close ties between Kenya and the United Kingdom. The head of state further highlighted a shared passion for nature and climate conservation between the two countries. They also addressed Kenya's significant role in regional peace and security. A member of the National Police Reserve was fatally shot in an attack by bandits in a village in Kapenguria, West Pokot County. Police said Clement Lokwailap, who was shot in the stomach by known bandits within the Apollo area and succumbed to the injuries on arrival at Autumn Missionary Hospital. The body was moved to Cherangani Nursing Home mortuary awaiting post-mortem. Witnesses said the deceased was on his routine patrol within the Apollo area when he was attacked. His G3 rifle and 2 magazines with unknown rounds of ammunition were stolen by the attackers. Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Ndai has addressed complaints by some Kenyans who have reported receiving high initial electricity quotations by Kenya Power. In an interview with a local TV station, Ndai downplayed numerous concerns that some quotations have been exorbitant and noted that the distance from an existing power transformer to the customer's premises is a major determinant in determining the eventual cost of the connection.
Each particular case is looked at on its own merit, and the distance from the existing transformer is a major factor in determining the eventual cost of connection. But you must also understand, it must not be lost on Kenyans that the rural electrification program that we are currently undertaking through DEREC is such that customers or Kenyans who are eventually connected do not have to pay even a single cent. That the only thing they would be expected to pay under these rural electrification schemes or projects is electricity bills.
Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury John Mbadi has assured Kenyans that their pay slips won't be taxed any further. Speaking during the inaugural visit to Bunge la Wananchi, Mbadi said that the finance bill this year may not have any tax adjustment upward in terms of the rate.
I am really concerned about the well-being of our pay slips as the working class. So we will need you to address how are you going to stop or reduce the raid on our pay slips.
We cannot overtax Kenyans anymore. We have reached a limit where we are saying no more space for taxation, especially on employment income. You will not see any more taxes on employment income under my watch.
Members of the public further took the Cabinet Secretary to task over government expenditure ranging from State House renovations, with most questioning whether the government's misplaced priorities in disregard to its own austerity measures.
When I was here yesterday, the Minister of Environment, who is Mr. Ndwale, was asked how much took the State House renovation. Is it 10 billion or 2 billion?
Sahi to renovate. So what you need to tell me, don't spend any more money on further renovations, isn't it? Juu hiyo nyumba ukiona sahi ni mzuri. Imekuwa renovated. Imechukua ile pesa imechukua.
And moving on is that first and second year university students will start receiving their help funds today if the government makes their word true that they disbursed 3.1 billion shillings yesterday using the old model. HELB's lending manager Kingori Ndegwa blamed the delay on the outcome of an appeal challenging the High Court suspension of the new framework.
The delay was that there was a court case and the judge ruled and prohibited any action on the implementation of the new funding model. And we have decided to pay the students under the old funding model. By this morning, I think about 3.7 billion was pushed to their accounts. So I believe by the end of the day today, they'll have received the money.
That's the news wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
FM. 102.5 Spice FM. Kisumu.
Okay, 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. Good morning. And as we get into the second hour of Kenya, actually the third hour of Kenya's biggest conversation this Tuesday, reminding ourselves that, you know what, you can get a mortgage in Kenya today. You can have it at a fixed price at a fixed interest rate for a longer period of time, and you pay just that. CT, what sorcery is this?
Well, it is the magic that Diamond Trust Bank is telling you they can work out for you. Mm-hmm. So that whatever it is that your financial resources are, you can plan to have a mortgage, and where a mortgage is not just having it so that you actually buy and own a property. They can walk you through the process of guaranteeing that. Now, what are these processes? One, you're being offered, it doesn't matter whether you are salaried, whether you are in the diaspora, mm-hmm. whether you have a business, 105%. Okay, if you're in the diaspora, 80%. Mm-hmm. Okay, and because of the association and the partnership they have with the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, you're talking about 9%. If you want to pay over 10 years, you're talking about 9.75% if you want to pay over 25 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, mm-hmm. And they're saying, look, all these things are possible. They are very, very possible. There are no hidden charges. They're not going to suddenly hit you with something that nobody had told you about. They're telling you that if you make a payment in advance, it is suddenly not going to cost you money. There are no penalties for having this payment made in advance. I mean, you know, the list of the things that are beneficial to you just go on and on and on and on and on. Now, if you're one of these people who has problems with believing things that you're told, let me just say this. It is not a bad thing to be someone who doubts. But why don't we just ensure that your doubts are put to rest? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's simple. How you can do this is either visit any Diamond Trust outlet, any branch, or simply email mortgages@dtbafrica.com. That's it.
Perfect. Okay. So now, Max, you know when I travel, and like now when I'm away and you want to send me money.
I want to send you money.
Yeah, I'm being prescriptive here.
You know I'm the new one.
You don't worry.
You have to give me reasons. But Valentine's is coming.
Don't worry. Why are you?
Yes, I want to send you money.
Thanks. You see, I knew we would get there eventually. Yeah. Now, it doesn't have to be painful for you. You see, already the process of you sending me the money is giving you this great joy, right? So we must continue the tradition so that you don't feel any kind of pain.
In fact,
as you're finishing the thing
today across borders. So
now, what we want you to do is want you to use the Virtual FX platform, okay? And you don't have to worry about, I'm sending into this money. Will she get it tomorrow? Because tomorrow is not business that we talk about in the day of sending money. It has to be
now.
Thanks to now. We're not talking about tomorrow. We're not talking about delays, or maybe you get it, maybe you not get it. How are we going to change money from Kenya shillings to, pounds, to those things they use in Kuwait are called what? Those ones. How are we going to make sure? So now Veto is saying you don't have to worry about those things. Money you send it, I have it. You want to change the currency? It's done. You want to say, they'll charge you high? No, they won't. Low fees, there are no hidden charges, nothing like wasting time, nothing like saying we can't change it in currency, not saying that your friend now will be disappointed because in 3 minutes she didn't get the... Nothing like that will happen. So you see, this joy that you will have in sending me the money, we prolong the joy with all the things that the platform comes with that will allow you to send this money. Now, in case the things I have told you, you're not understanding them completely, there's a website, www.vetofx.com. Find out all that information, and now, so that by the time I'm going, you have all the information that you need, and we're not going to have to do this again.
And because I want you to be happy in your travels.
You see?
Exactly.
You're a good man. That's why we like the things like this, and you see, just like that, we are done. We're finished. We're gone. And those are the conversations that we have every morning here in the Situation Room. Our guest for this hour is seated, and we'll be talking about something that we talk about all the time, but at the current global discussions, it's very important to have. Our guest is Professor Elijah Songok, and he's the Acting Director General at KEMRI. Good morning, Daktari.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, is it?
You're very tall.
No, he's not very tall. He's extremely tall.
I was distracted for a moment.
You are seeing me when coming to your door and saying that this person is...
what did we do?
You need to increase the door size.
Ndu is designing her designer baby. I think she's just seen the prototype.
That's interesting.
Karibu sana to the hot seat of the Situation Room this morning.
Okay.
We're looking at a big issue, the role of KEMRI and organizations, institutions in research. A big ticket item that we discuss in this room, as well as in the country and around the world right now. So we're very glad to have you in the room as we talk about that today.
Thank you.
But let's welcome you in true Situation Room style. CT goes to a different African country every week, and he comes back with proverbs that he shares with us every day. So he's going to tell us what the proverb is, and we'd like you to tell us how you would translate that and how it would resonate with you. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try.
Okay.
Well, I have the privilege of actually hosting my director. I have been associated with the Kenya Medical Research Institute for a very long time.
Yeah, you look very familiar. I think you are one of us.
Yeah.
Muga.
Yes.
Yeah, when I walk in there, I say, this gentleman seems to be one of my staff.
Yes. That is absolutely correct. And it is our pleasure to have you here, Director General. It's our pleasure indeed. And thank you for making the time.
Okay.
Our proverbs for this week come from the Republic of Djibouti. A guest who breaks the plate of his hosts is not soon forgotten.
A guest who breaks
the plate of his hosts is not soon forgotten.
That is
no. Keep it simple. You are a research scientist, and research scientists are going to now go into details.
Yeah.
What is
break it
apart? The plate?
No.
What was the density?
What was the plate made of?
Yes.
Okay? And I'm sure it was a plate and not a bowl. No. Let's not go there. Let's just keep it simple. It's a plate that has been broken. Yes. And you're a guest.
Yes.
Why is it that your hosts don't forget you when you've broken their plate?
They don't forget you because no, I can't get it.
Oh no, you've got it actually. Now this is what happens when you have a research scientist in the room.
He wants to collect data.
He's actually asking. I don't have it sufficient.
How many data points have I been given?
I cannot give an informed opinion on this.
In fact, was there a control plate?
First of all,
maybe what we can do is we can introduce some research questions that could bring you to the answer.
Yeah.
Do you feel any kind of
You have to tell me what is the hypothesis of it.
Would you imagine?
Then I could design a study around
around the breaking of plates in Kenya.
Collect data around those breaking of those plates.
Yeah. So, Prof, maybe I could ask you this way. Would you imagine that if you owned a plate and it was broken by somebody who came into your home, that you would be happy?
No.
You would feel some kind of displeasure, wouldn't you?
Yes, you feel like, actually you feel a little bit...
So when you remember the loss of that plate, who do you think of when you think of that plate and that it no longer exists in your collection?
You see, that's a prized possession. If you had a plate, that is something which is prized. And when somebody comes and really breaks it, I mean, he has taken something which is dear to you.
Yes.
So I would say that the person has will you say spite you?
Yes.
The person has spite you.
Exactly.
Yes.
There you go.
We just needed to give him more data points. Yes.
You clearly needed more of the data.
Thank you, Dad.
Create a graph of best fit.
He has no respect for you. Yes.
What you just did, you brought in the element of research ethics. Yes. And the moment you talked about owning something precious,
yes.
Now,
yes.
It became clear.
Yes.
but you are 100% right. When guests come to a home, we take out the best we have. And if one of those things is destroyed, the person who destroyed it, we don't forget that person in a hurry.
Not in a hurry.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are remembered for every time you miss that thing, you say, but there was so and so who came here. It's them who actually broke it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
And I guess that sets the premise for the conversation that we'll be having this morning, Professor Songok. And when we talk about Kenya Medical Research Institute, which is KEMRI. We say KEMRI all the time, and we fail to remember that it actually is a research institute, when we do discuss. But then when we talk about the importance of research, just give us an overview of some of the kind of research that KEMRI has been involved in over the years before we start to look at the pointed importance of that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Udu. The KEMRI has been in existence for the last 45 years. And it was formed specifically with several mandates. And the mandate mostly is research. It's research for human health.
Yeah.
To advise the Ministry of Health on matters of policy on health. To capacity build on research. To do partnerships with the like-minded organizations, both locally and internationally. To do incubations of products, which has come out of research. This we have been doing for, as I say, the last 45 years. And when you come to where we are based, we are, apart from Nairobi, where our headquarters is, we have actually 15 centers across the country which are doing this research. All the way from Kilifi, Nairobi. We have a center in Busia, Kisumu, Kericho, Mandera, Taveta, Malindi, Mtwapa. The other day we formed 2 new ones, and that is Kirinyaga and Eldoret. So these are the particular areas that we carry out our research. And our research teams are very broad. Number one is we look at the area of priority, the disease of priority in this country. Not only within this country, but also the region. Number one has been infectious and parasitic diseases. These have been the top ones. When you talk about infectious diseases, we are talking about TB, we are talking about malaria, we are talking about HIV. We are talking about new emerging infections. Like now, talk about Ebola, talk about Marburg, talk about Mpox. So that is a line of what we call infectious and parasitic diseases.
Okay.
The next line that we work on is on biotechnology. This biotechnology is the products. The moment we do our research, we have products coming out of this research, and we develop those products. And those products include diagnostic kits, it includes vaccines, it includes drugs. So those are the biotechnology part, where we can be able to get those particular output from the research. The other area which we are very strong also is the area of traditional medicines. We have been working very well for the last 40 years on the areas of traditional medicine, seeing what our local alternative medicines can be able to offer in terms of treating these particular infections. We have the area of non-communicable diseases, cancers, hypertension, diabetes is also one area that we are really working on. We have child's that is sexual transmitted infections. We have child health. We have reproductive health. It's also a very key one that we also work on. We have public health. And what is called public health systems. It's also another area that we are really working on. So it's a big, broad areas, but mostly it is towards the sections that are of public health importance.
Right.
In this country.
As you look over the years, and one of the things that you mentioned, which caught my attention, is that you then serve as an advisory to government in terms of the things that they should, take up. Decisions that they should make, whether these are decisions of a financial nature or decisions of a public health nature, advising the Ministry of Health, for example, over certain things that they must do. So then the question would be, over time, in a range, how would you say that the absorption of government, of ministry, of the information and data that you've been able to collect and research on then has been? How well has that absorption taken place over time?
We could say that it has been, the absorption has been going on. First of all, when we do research, when we get the output, we do it what is called a policy paper. And in that particular policy paper, we now inform the ministry that this is the particular direction you should be able to go. Let's say now changing our treatment. Imagine the areas of malaria, because you have been using chloroquine, and we find that the research that we have done is finding that chloroquine resistant. We inform the ministry that right now we can be able to have to change this. Then a policy comes out for the change of that. The ministry has been taking it. It has been taking majority of the particular suggestions you have made in Kenya. The other one is that we sit in expert committees within the ministry. And within that, we can be able to guide to our expertise that this is a direction from the data that we have, from the research that we have, that we should be able to go as a country. So I could say that the ministry has actually been taking it because we are part and parcel of the ministry. Yes.
Many Kenyans are worried, and you do a wonderful job, of course, and how we know you do a wonderful job is we are all not dying of measles and mpox and things like that, meaning that Kemri is doing a good job. There's the question now in terms of the funding coming from the United States of America, which is on every person's lips. Do you feel that you can absorb that shock? And if you can also tell us what amount of cash or capacity will be taken away should the Americans actually pull through with their defunding of WHO and other USAID programs?
Yeah, Bichachi, I think that is a risk. That is a great risk that we have been working on. First of all, in Kemri, for us to do research, we have to get funding. And this funding is usually in terms of grants, which our scientists apply. When our scientists apply for this, they apply with other partners. And then we can also have partners who directly come to Cambridge with their own funding and work with us. 50% of the funds that we get in Cambridge is from the American government, the federal government. Yeah, 50%. This is, they come to agencies like NIH, National Institutes of Health. They come to agencies like USAID, agencies like CDC, and agencies like DOD, the Department of Defense. There's a big risk. When President Trump came the other day and said there's no more foreign aid, we actually are impacted. And the other day we had to see how we could be able to manage this risk. We have the stop order that came in. We have actually we have laid out staff for 3 months. The ones who are funded by these particular agencies, especially USAID and CDC. As we await the next way out of that. As you said, is a risk. And we have been trying to find out how we can be able to really manage that risk as way of going forward. One way we are really proposing to the government is that there's a need for the government to own the research in this country. There's a need for the government to be able to fund research, because also when we do get this particular funding from outside, sometimes the priorities are not ours. The priorities are set up there. So that's what we always say, that he who calls the piper, he plays the tune, plays the piper.
Yes.
So the moment we manage to get our own funding, we shall not be really have the what we are experiencing in terms of the issue of Trump cutting up our funding.
Right.
That's number one. Number two is try to use our own resources that we have in Kemri, as we are trying to do, to be able to raise our own funding. We have the products that we have made. That is diagnostic kits, which we are really pressing on the government to be able to purchase. The moment they purchase that to KEMSA, we shall be able to get funding to continue with our work without having to depend on the external donors. That is what we think may be best way forward, because as we continue really depending on this external funding, we shall really be facing a similar thing of laying out our staff or not looking at the issues or priority of this country. I think the worst part has actually come in the terms of treatment and then the PEPFAR part.
Yeah.
Even though it has been resigned, I think theirs is the one which really been hitting us so hard.
From a research point of view, Prof, because, I mean, we've been to Kilifi, we've been here to Nairobi, can we hear in Nairobi, and seen. I mean, because the stuff that is happening at Kemri is it's groundbreaking stuff. We may not be able to actually appreciate the levels to which Kemri is actually doing some groundbreaking stuff here.
Thank you.
Now, when it's and this has been largely, I mean, by your own admission, funded by external bodies, largely. But there's an opportunity, in my opinion, to have that backed by the Kenyan government and looking at ways in which it can also bring its own like-minded partners. There's something else you said, that, of course, he who pays the piper calls the tune. That means that if I'm giving you money, you're likely to do research in and around the areas that I would want you to do. We had a conversation here with somebody from Kemri a couple of weeks ago where it was clear to us that, okay, well, if we apply the much needed backing of funding towards certain things, then for example, some of the medication that we get on this side of the pond, which may not necessarily be for us as Africans, we could actually start to produce them, research about them, and have them done here for Africa, for Africans. Should that not be now what our focus should be, to say, can we now start to look towards solutions using this research that will sort out some of these diseases that are inherently ours, quote unquote, or some that we've inherited over time, the non-communicables that we see, the HIV now that we have such a huge burden to be able to deal with when it comes to treatment? Isn't it time to set the clock and have government actually see it from that point of view?
Udu, I think, as you said, it is actually an opportunity. It is a very good opportunity for us to be able to reset, as you say, the clock. One thing that we actually saw, imagine during the COVID time, which was also a big opportunity for us, when we realized that we have been depending on others, and then COVID just came in like that. And we had to really look around and see what are the potentials that we have as a country to be able to manage this. Yes, it is an opportunity because when there is a need, you have to be able to to innovate. Yes, the government is realizing that, and actually several days ago, one thing that we actually said is that first thing will be staff, because as you see right now, things is that we are laying out staff. These are particular people who are really doing the great job. All those particular innovations, as you are saying. all these particular new breakthroughs in terms of research, these publications, is because of this stuff. So one thing is, we need first of all to be able to see if we can be able to have our staff actually owned by us, employed by us.
Yes.
Yeah, because they will not be singing somebody's tune if we are the ones who are actually paying them. So I think we are having the government listening to that. And we're happy that having seen those risks that we have been facing, we are going towards an area right now that we will be able to have, even though with the particular limited resources to this country, I think the government has really seen that this is very critical. Research is critical. And it's not only critical, in that there's a need for ownership. And ownership means us we have to be able to really invest in the particular people who are doing this research. So yes, this has created an opportunity.
Yeah.
And also as that, one of the things we could always say is that when we have been doing these researches also, is that there have been areas that we are really thinking are our own, or the ones which are we ourselves think is our priority for ourselves. And these are the area of traditional medicines. Let me tell you, the area of herbal medicines, we rarely get funding from outside because of that. The funding that we get usually has to come from within. Because we work with the funders outside do not see how they can benefit from our traditional medicines. So this is an area that we are really pushing, especially for local support and local funding. And also we are asking Kenyans too that, you see, now cancer is a major problem in this country. And Kemri, we are trying to be able to get solutions towards the cancer menace we have. And due to lack of funding, we cannot be able or limited funding, to be able to push the particular traditional medicines that we think are really working towards products and to be used in the mainstream, or to use in the hospitals, or to use prescribed by doctors. This is because if we could be able to have research on these funds, to be able to do research on this one, that would be better. So that we can be able to look at those particular alternative medicines which have been seen to be working against cancer. We are going out soon to be able to ask Kenyans that if you have been affected by this, we will be needing you to be able to support us in terms of even donations to us. It's a foundation. So that we can be able to look at the priorities that are affecting us in this particular country. So that we don't need to be able to look at the outside. So there is also the need that we ourselves have to look at, is research good for us? Is it bringing out the innovations that will be able to support us? Are we exploiting the particular resources that we have that can be best for us in terms of health? If there is it, then afterwards you will be getting out and say, please see how you could be able to support us in terms of funding. Yeah.
My follow-up question, you said the United States contributes 50% and staff already being laid off for 3 months. Of the other 50% that is left, how much of it is being funded by the national government? I'm quite curious.
The national government gives us a budget of 10 billion that we have. We have 3 billion for national government.
3 billion.
Yeah, and that 3 billion mostly is for staff. It's for staff.
Yeah. So the research is, by and large, our research is foreign funded.
It is not, I could not say 100% foreign funded. Because it is our own staff.
I'm saying by and large. So,
yes.
So the government gives in 30%,
yes,
but 70% is foreign, and 50% of that
is from the US.
Is from the United States. Okay, I just need that.
Perhaps I can explain this to you. You see, the way research works, when you hear of those percentages, it's not an absolute figure in the mathematical sense of the word. Research seeks to answer questions. And when somebody funds research, they have been convinced that you are in a position to help them answer the questions that they wish to answer. And people who fund research don't just fund Kenya. They'll probably fund other countries within the continent and in other continents.
Yes.
And the reason is very simple. If you want to understand, say, a disease, you can't just understand its and the presence in your own country. The West, especially America, understood this a long time ago.
Yes.
So they want to understand the ramifications of it elsewhere because they want to understand how it will bear meaning in their own country.
And how to stop it from coming
into their own
country.
Yes.
And that's the question I was heading to. If it's funded 70%, where does the intellectual property belong to?
Can we take a break and then we'll come back and answer that question? Let's do that. Please remember what that question is, Mark, because I know sometimes when you hear music or something else, you tend to fly out the window. But I think it's a vital point. Professor Elijah Songok, who is the acting director of the Kenya Medical Research Institute, is our guest this hour, and we're looking at really how KEMRI has been involved in research, health research around the country, and we're looking at so what does the future look like with all the global bumps that we are seeing at the moment? We continue after taking a look at weather and traffic. We'll be back after this.
Some days just have you feeling, you know the ones. Very few aha moments. Just moments. Maybe even a few because how can a day this good feel so meh? But then, you realize your moment of escape is a cup of indulgence away.
Delamere. Get lost in rich, creamy, flavorful bliss with every spoonful of Delamere real fruit yogurt. Indulge in the moment.
Are you a young person looking to unlock your potential? Are you ready to take the future in your hands? If so, then listen up. KCB to Jejiri is the plan. It's designed to empower young people like you, develop skills and knowledge you need to succeed in life. KCB to Jejiri combines vocational skills training, business development training, access to finance and business mentorship, preparing youth for jobs, entrepreneurship and wealth creation. Don't be left out. Visit kcbgroup.com/foundation to learn more.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning, currently at 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 24. It's 16 and sunny in Nakuru, 16 and sunny in Nyeri, and yes, 16 in Eldoret as well, going to highs of 26. It's partly sunny at 26 in Mombasa and at 27. Sunny conditions in Malindi, 21 and sunny in Kisumu at 19. Kakamega is sunny as well. The sun is up in Kampala at 22 and at 29. It's partly sunny in Dar es Salaam. While Johannesburg at 20 is sunny. We'll see sunny conditions through Tuesday in Mogadishu at 26, 12 degrees, and warming up in Addis Ababa. It's mostly clear at 27 in Lagos and 24, and mostly sunny in Kinshasa. Very busy traffic on Magadi Road this morning as you come off of that Multimedia University Junction heading out towards Langata Road. Incoming traffic from Karen and the environs are adding to Langata Road traffic, and it's going to take you all the way through towards the Uhuru Gardens interchange and then out towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. That's very busy. Uhuru Highway is also taking up some traffic that's coming off of Mombasa Road right around Capital Centre heading out towards the city. So that is busy. If you're Mombasa Road, you're going to need, a cup of patience and something else. Gong Road is also getting busy as you get towards the Prestige and then out towards the City Mortuary, Nairobi Funeral Home roundabout. It's also coming off of the Thika Superhighway in droves. My goodness, traffic is very heavy here this morning. And we're also looking at Limuru Road heavy. This traffic is coming off of Red Hill, interestingly enough. Some of that folks running away from James Gishuru, so that's busy this morning as well. Also, just take a look at Lower Kabete towards Spring Valley, bumper to bumper there. Again, another cup of patience. In this case, maybe a flask. All right, SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
22 minutes left in this conversation, and we are in the studio today as we have this conversation on research and what it then means or what it portends for the country. Professor Elijah Songok is our guest this hour. He is the acting Director General of KEMRI, and we've been having that. Mark, before we went, you had a question which you did hold on to.
Yes, I did. And the question was about intellectual property.
Good.
When they fund these projects, and I remember during the COVID vaccine, Kenya was mentioned as one of the countries that actually helped to get into this breakthrough.
Yes.
But when we needed the medication, it was as if we did not participate. So the issue of intellectual property and owning what it is exactly we research in this country, how is that?
Yeah, Bichachi, just one thing, just before I go to the IP, is we are talking about, first of all, was the issue of the internationalization of research.
Yes.
Research is actually is not a one country thing, it's global. When a researcher is working in KEMRI, the same particular problem is working in KEMRI. It's also occurring in Tanzania, it's occurring in Cuba, or it's occurring in the US. So you get that we mostly work together as partners or networks. Again, when you get that there's an infectious diseases, the infectious diseases they don't know borders. They don't need a visa. An infectious disease in Nairobi today, within a very short time, it is in London with the flights. It is in New York. So it's always an issue that we have always to work together as a team, as a global team on this. So when it comes to the issue right now, IP, is yes, as we said, it is who funds you is the one who always has to be able to, has the say in your IP. We have been having a lot of problems in IP because of such, because where the money comes from. But we are now trying to claw back because it is a give and take. That particular person will not be able to come to you if there was something you are not able to give. So it's the give and take right now that is actually making us that, yes, you gave us the money, but we have the specimens, we have the patients, we have the samples. So we have to have exploit or to be share the IP.
Right.
So IP has been a big issue, but we are now trying to be able to make sure that we are at a good negotiation in that it is shared IP.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, you know, oftentimes, folks who work in communications, we say some of the people who don't talk about what they do enough are medical practitioners.
Yes.
In terms of research and the work that has been done over the years, you don't talk about it enough. Again, I'm going to go back to when we went to Kilifi. I'm sure CT you remember, and the work that's being done with malaria, for example. And I'm making a connection to this because if we know regularly what is actually happening as a result of the research that's being done, then it is clear that you make a case for how it must be supported, not should be or suggestion or maybe, no, how it must be supported. So when we look at the work, for example, that is being done with malaria in certain counties in this country as a result of the research that KEMRI is doing, and we look at babies' lives, and we went to the natal unit that treats malaria, and we see the life-saving work that is done as a result of research in particular counties, then you're able to make the connection and you say, hang on a minute, as a result of this, lives have been saved. As a result of this, a particular medication, right, has then been found, has been created. The lives of children have been saved. We've studied the tsetse fly, for example. We know that this is what it does and this is how it affects human life. And then as a result of that, we know that this is what we can treat. These are things that are happening here in Kenya. These are lives of Kenyans that are being saved. These are children that are being treated and they get back to normal life right here.
Yes.
But we don't see it every day, but it's happening every minute. So how do you then make that absorption of this research that is being done, not even at government level, but with the lives of Kenyans known. And something that's in the open then becomes a very clear and present reality. And we say, we have no choice but to support this thing. No choice. How do you do that? Take it from the operation to now the glaring reality to people that it's Kemri that's behind this.
Yeah, I think we do. You have said the correct thing. One thing is actually the issue of communication. Communication is very, very key. And communication, we need to up our communication. And it is actually good that to such fora, we can be able to say what we do. And then people can see the impact of what we do, the impact of the lives that we save by research. So I would say that the thing is to strengthen our communication, work with the communicators, not only in terms of particular papers that we publish and put them in journals, not only in terms of conference that we go and present, but also making people know that this has come out of research. The moment that we have people know that this is coming out of research, that life has saved of research, this new drug has come out of research, and this number of children have been saved from malaria because of research, then we should be able to actually have a good way. So the thing is actually to up our communication. I think so. Yes.
You know, for instance, in the field of HIV and AIDS, which is the field I worked in for the longest time, and I still do. See, it isn't known, for instance, that part of Suba County, Homa Bay County, there's a sub-county that we refer to as Suba. And within Suba, there are islands. There's an island called Remba. Because of the work that KEMRI did in research and then care and treatment in that region, KEMRI actually built a clinic on Remba Island. It never had one. That is the work of that and the partners. KEMRI built staff houses for members. How did we look after patients on that island then? We used a bar, because people tend to go to a bar at night.
Yes.
So 2 or 3 times in a week, we would go to this bar, because in the morning there are no people, and you would see patients up to around 2 or 3 o'clock, and then you'd leave. But the island,
in the bar?
Yeah, yes, it's a bar.
This is why CT worked there for a long time.
So, it is also not known that because of the partnerships that KEMRI had in the HIV and AIDS work, everywhere they worked, whether it was in Kisumu County, whether it's in Homa Bay, whether it's in Migori, they built comprehensive care centers. Built. Okay. People see it and they take it for granted. But I'm talking about what KEMRI did and the partnerships. Researchers don't talk loudly enough about the work they do. The life-saving work. In HIV and AIDS care and treatment, there's something appropriately called test and treat, where you test someone, the HIV positive, you put them on treatment. It wasn't always the case.
No.
There was a research that was done in Kenya by KEMRI and its partners. It was called Sustainable East African Research on Community Health, SEARCH. Part of it was in Mbarara in Western Uganda. It is that research that informed the test and treat. Without that research, we would not have had the evidence that then supported the idea when you test somebody, you treat them immediately. Now, I'm simply giving this as an example. Now, this is just HIV. There are 15 centers, and all these centers have a specific area of health that they relate to. Now, can you imagine just the impact that makes on a nation? And this research is not just consumed in Kenya, it is consumed throughout the world.
International.
Yeah. And it's very critical. In fact, if you just look at the international impact of centers such as KEMRI. In fact, let's look at the region. If KEMRI stops functioning, how much capacity will be taken out of Uganda, Tanzania, etc.? Because these guys actually come and count on Kenya to do this research.
East and Central.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So your job is quite important. There's something you said that I think is dear to my heart. You know, I am really tired of this country where rich people only contribute to churches, and then if they're contributing, maybe they give you a lift in their Range Rover.
Okay.
You said that Kenyans need to put their money where it matters. How can someone contribute to Kemri? I think that's a critical question. So that they stop building malls and houses in Karen they don't live in, and actually save lives and perhaps be useful members of society.
Yeah, I like that. The thing is that we are engineering our way right now, as you say, Bichachi, of how we can be able to get our funding. And this is a new gospel that we are trying to preach to Kenyans, that please support us so that we can be able to do this particular impactful research that can be able to save lives. We are going towards an area of getting a foundation so that we can be able to get this instead of us depending on this particular external funding to be able to get these funds. So, yes, that is an area that really we are urging Kenyans that look what we are doing. See if what you are doing really has an impact on you. It has an impact not only on you, on your neighbors. Support us, yes, so that we can be able to get to do the themes that are close to us. Yes, so that's not what we think that you'll be able to really push it towards that direction.
Please, when you do, you have a website, a number of people can call. Please let us know. I think this is something that is critical to the heart of Kenyans, because we need to own our safety, we need to own our healthcare system, and we can actually do something to help.
Mark, most of the help that we get and the funding we get, these endowments or the foundations, aside from that, it's taxpayers' money from this country that actually helps with this research.
Yes.
See, but it has to be purposed. See, but it can't be purposed if it's not understood. It has to be understood.
That's great, because as you say that, it has to be understood, and so then we get to the place when we say name them. So, Prof, I think it's important that when we're talking about some of the work that actually has been done, take us through some of those. What is some of the work that has been done that we can see as a result of this research? We've been able to see that we've reached this milestone, we've crossed, so that one is no longer is a thing of the past, that we don't have to search for malaria drugs anymore, and that has come as a result of the research that Kemri has done. So walk us through some of those things, 2 or 3 of them that we can see.
Let me just walk on you on one. Number one is that what has come out of Kemri. First, let's look at malaria, as you are talking about. There is the vaccine for malaria at GSS. That vaccine has actually now being used for kids, and it was because of the work done in Kemri. The RTSS malaria vaccine. That's number one. Number two is a vaccine for human papillomavirus. We worked for cervical cancer. Through the work of Kemri, we could be able to show that this particular vaccine doesn't need to be given 3 times, can only be given once. In that way, it was saving issues of money. It was issues of time for us to be able to have the efficacy of that particular vaccine. When you come to other issues of tuberculosis, we have work currently going on the vaccine for tuberculosis, which has taken some time. The tuberculosis vaccine that you have been using in this country has been nearly 100 years ago. There has been no change of that vaccine. And that vaccine has actually, the impact of that vaccine right now is waning because of particular new things of resistance. And in that way, we have to be able to really try a new way of do vaccine. So there's a new vaccine right now on TB that we are actually carrying out clinical trials on. And we think this will be a game changer in terms of the many loss of lives that we have been having on TB. So that is one of the impacts on the areas of actions. When we come to the areas of testing, the issue that when there is an outbreak of a disease in this country, Ebola, Marburg, you have even Mpox, the first people that are on site to be able to really get that particulars, to know what it is Kemri. We pick that, we come and test it and inform the country that this is this particular pathogen. And with that, you can be able right now to determine or to do control or preventive measures around that. That is one area that we could say that is our forte in terms of emerging or emerging infections. When it comes also to terms of kits, say diagnostic kits, we actually have products that you could be able to use for the testing of these particular kits. When we come to the other day, we had my staff here was talking about the DNA testing.
Yes.
We are actually working on the area right now on genomics. Genomics is a big area that we are entering into. And in that, in what is called precision medicine, whereby there is going to be targeted treatment based on the genetic composition of the body, of our population. When we get drugs from outside the country, usually they have done trials in those particular countries, and the genetic makeup is different from ours. So we have really been finding that we need to be able to build our own genetic library or our genetic repertoire, whereby you could be able to use to develop our own medicines or to develop what's called precision targeted medicines. So that's an area that we are now actually working on. When you come to the area of UHC currently, Kemri is in the forefront. When we did a study and find out that for the UHC, the best people to use for UHC for it to be succeed is community health promoters. But then we found that the community health promoters themselves, they were not empowered. They were not even being paid. That these are the particular people, when they go to the households, these were the key people for the primary health care. So based on the findings from Kemri, right now that particular team has come up and is now at the basis of the primary health care, getting 100 households and so on. The other day, we also got into the aspect of doing what is called monitoring and evaluation. To monitor and evaluation UHC, to monitor and evaluate SHA. So we are working on evaluation because of this particular issue right now that it is not working. There are issues, there are challenges in it. They say, okay, we need data. We have to have data on it for us to be able to really to show that this is the way it should go. This is the challenge is here, and this is how it can be corrected. So we are currently working on that as an area for SHA or UHC to be able to get the data which can be able to help in terms of giving it the right direction. We are also having various other research. I could not just say it, as Muga just said, areas of HIV.
Yes.
The change of the treatment that we have been giving in HIV in this country is because of the work of Kemri. We managed to change, when we had ARVs, the ARVs moving from one type of ARV to the other one because of the resistance and because it was not working, as in because of Kemri's managing to come about that particular information by the particular clinical trials we have been doing. So, seeing the area of what is called antimicrobial resistance, we have a lot of drugs right now we are using for bacterial infections. But here is a situation whereby we are seeing a lot of those particular drugs now are resistant. So we are in Kemri right now monitoring to be able to advise the country that there is what is called antimicrobial resistance on the drugs that you are using, so that they can be able to really target it and say, no, this one works.
So if I can just draw, I mean, because a lot of times we listen to this and we hear, okay, so what does that mean? So essentially, when a parent has taken their child to hospital, for example, and been, diagnosed with bacterial infection, for example, right?
Yeah.
They're given an antibiotic.
Yes.
They go, 5 days, 7 days, whatever the case may be. They heal, they come back. In the future, if you're infected again, and you come back and you take and you're prescribed an antibiotic again, what we're saying now is that we've gotten to the place where a lot of this medication, then you will take the medication, but you will then essentially relapse after some time, or you will not get well and you have to keep taking. So your body essentially is resisting that medication because of certain environmental factors. And what now Kemri needs to do is step in and either, raise the fence, essentially, with that research to make sure now that you have drugs that are in the market that will be able to counter that resistance.
Yes. First of all, it's not the body itself that managed to become resistant. It is the pathogen itself. It's the bacteria.
The bacteria, yeah.
Yeah, because on the bacteria, it depends also how the usage.
Yeah.
Because the moment you expose a bacteria to a low amount of that drug, it easily gets resistant. Again, is the dosage.
Yes.
And you go to the pharmacy, you get what's called the over-the-counter.
Oh, yes.
Somebody uses it. and then it's not the right type. And you might have used a wrong one, which actually makes that particular pathogen or that particular bacteria now resistant
to it.
So what we are doing in Cambridge is to be able to actually advise that this is not the right drug you can currently use in this country. This one is obsolete because majority of the bacteria in this country, which we are using for the treatment of children, let's say right now in the neonatal, cannot be able to work. So this may be the right one. But as we are moving on, we are getting that the numbers are becoming lesser and lesser. Because that particular numbers, the spectrum of the antibiotics, there has been so much misuse. You can know also, even in chicken.
Yes,
they are being used in
livestock,
chicken.
Yes.
They are used in livestock. So that has increased that particular spectrum of resistance. And what we are doing in Cambridge, not only in terms of surveillance, not only in terms of advising, but also trying to find out right now among these which could be the one which is working,
right,
so they can be able to advise the country.
And that surveillance readily available right here in Kenya with Kenya's research scientists, with Kenya's own people to ensure that, you know, we have a balance of these things. So there's a case to be made for this support. There's a case to be made to understand that this is not a foreign thing. It is right here in Kenya and can actually be done here, isn't it, Prof?
That's it. That's it.
That is exactly what's happening.
Yes.
There is definitely a case to be made for, you know, putting a lot of, you know, support behind funding of you know, medical research. But aside from that, even the acknowledgement that such groundbreaking stuff is happening right here within the borders of this country, and to be able to say that, yes, we realize that. And so we thank you for coming in today to help us to understand and to really look into some of these things. It's important that we continue to have these conversations and highlight these things as we go along. So we want to thank you, Prof, for being here this morning with us.
Thank you, Udu. Just before you conclude, I just want to also pass the message that every year we do have a conference, which we get all our scientists to come together and we can be able to present their findings. We're having this particular conference for this year from 11th to 14th of this month. At Safari Park Hotel. Our young scientists come and they can be able to do their presentations. We have our partners also coming in. So we'll urge you have a big number of presentations, I think around 300 this year. As you have been moving along, this is now around 15 years.
Yes.
It has been actually been increasing the numbers of... so this will ask the Kenyans to be able to listen to us and get their new findings of what we are actually doing in Cambridge. Because that is a jamboree that we always have to big our impact of what you have been doing.
Indeed.
So that's what I just wanted to say. The other thing is also that in Cambridge we also have a graduate school. This graduate school we train masters and PhD students. Because of the next team of scientists that we have to make in this country
are coming from there.
We are coming from there. So we'll urge the Kenyans who are especially qualified to be able to get into a graduate school, because that's where we are really getting the next
stock from.
Of our next team.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Professor Elijah Songoke is the Acting Director General of Cambridge, has been our guest this hour. Good morning. It's 9:01.
Good morning. This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says that President William Ruto offered him money to step down from the position. Speaking on 3 vernacular radio stations from Western Kenya, Gachagua said he rejected the offer, and this is what led to his impeachment.
Na mimi ningesikiza vile rais alikuwa ananiambia nijiuzuru, because alikuwa ameniambia wewe jiuzuru nikupatie bilioni 2 uende nyumbani, uende upumzike, fanya mambo yako, uwe na security, uwe na mshahara na unaweza simama siku nyingine. Sasa nikajiuliza, yule anakupangia mabaya anaweza kukupatia suluhisho ya vile utaishi? Ukiona ile mtu anakupangia mabaya, ile barabara anakuambia uende, unaenda opposite. Kwa hivyo mimi sijipendi. Hata wabunge ya kwangu wengi sana wale wananiunga mkono walikuja kuniona kuniambia wewe jiuzuru ndio ukue upate nafasi ya kusimama. Nikasema hiyo ni kujipenda, sio lazima mimi nisimame, sio lazima niongoze. Mimi lazima nijitolee, nitetee wa Kenya na ukweli ujulikane. Na si ati lazima mimi ndio nikuwe kiongozi wa Kenya. Wengine iko watu wengi sana ya kuongoza.
Gachagua has further reaffirmed that a court case won't stop him from running for a political seat, as many other leaders before him have made it to the ballot with ongoing court cases.
Mimi nitakuwa kwa ile team itafanya, lakini hakuna mtu amenikataza kusimama. Mimi niko na kesi kotini inaendelea. Uhuru Kenyatta na Ruto walisimama wakiwa na kesi kwa Hague. Katiba ya Kenya iko wazi ya kwamba kama ugali uko na mambo kotini, right yako ya kupigania kiti hawezi ondolewa. Kwa hivyo mimi nikitaka kusimama nitasimama, lakini hiyo haina haja saa hii. Ile kitu ya maana sana ni vile tutapanga hii Kenya na wengine ndio tuweze kuwapata uongozi bora.
The former DP also castigated the president over the abductions in the country, saying his help with locating Public Service CS Justin Muturi's son was a clear indicator that he knew those behind them.
Ni makosa kubwa sana serikali ambayo imechaguliwa kuteka watoto nyara na kuwaua. Na ndio umeona huyu waziri wetu Justin Muturi, mtoto yake alitekwa nyara na akazungushwa na hao wakuu ya security wakimdanganya, mpaka akaenda akamconfront rais kumuuliza kwa nini mtoto yangu ametekwa nyara, na ni rais alipiga simu, huyo mtoto akawaachiliwa. Kwa hivyo rais akitaka hii utekaji nyara iishe, itaisha, kwa sababu yeye ni simu moja tu alipiga, kwa sababu anajua ni nani alipigia, which means he knows ni nani anafanya hii kuteka nyara. Kwa hivyo niseme sisi tutaendelea kutetea haki ya Wakenya, tutaendelea kusimama na Wakenya, kwa sababu ni muhimu kuwe na viongozi ambaye ni shupavu, ambaye hawana uoga ya kutetea Wakenya.
Meanwhile, pressure continues to mount on Public Service CS Justin Muturi to resign if he disagrees with the current government's leadership. Energy CS Opiyo Wandanyi says that while Muturi's claims are true, the methods he uses appear to be skimming.
Strange phenomenon that one could criticize the very government that they serve in. It's a phenomenon that can only exist in Kenya. Because first and foremost, as a member of the cabinet, I have more than enough avenues to voice my opinions or to express myself within the government, within the framework of the government or the executive. But more importantly, if for whatever reason I disagree with the position taken by the government, or I disagree with the direction the government is taking, or I disagree with the policies of the government, I can only do one thing, is to quit.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
Are you a young person looking to unlock your potential? Are you ready to take the future in your hands? If so, then listen up. KCB to Jejiri is the plan. It's designed to empower young people like you, develop skills and knowledge you need to succeed in life. KCB to Jejiri combines vocational skills training, business development training, access to finance and business mentorship, preparing youth for jobs, entrepreneurship and wealth creation. Don't be left out. Visit kcbgroup.com/foundation to learn more.
Some days just have you feeling, you know the ones. Very few aha moments. Just moments. Maybe even a few Because how can a day this good feel so meh? But then, you realize your moment of escape is a cup of indulgence away. Delamere.
Get lost in rich, creamy, flavorful bliss with every spoonful of Delamere real fruit yogurt. Indulge in the moment.
Okay, now 3 minutes after 9 o'clock, let's take a look at what traffic looks like. It's still pretty busy wherever you are. If you're on the Thika Superhighway, you see just a little bit of that left as you're coming then towards Survey. And then also on Gong Road, we saw that pretty busy this morning. It's quite busy as you come off Capital Centre on Mombasa Road, heading out towards the city. And Langata Road has been giving excess traffic this morning, bumper to bumper here and there. Some traffic also coming off of Jogoo Road, and that continues. So we're going to keep an eye out on all of this. We should be coming out of traffic hours soon, and let's talk as we do. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It's 7 after 9 and into the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation. And Mark, you were telling us about 1 million people, 150,000, 18 to 35, things like that, all in one place.
Yes, in fact, I'm quite excited, because for once my mathematics was slightly off.
Okay.
In a positive sense.
For once.
So 1 million. For once.
Okay.
Yeah. I really get these things wrong.
Moving on.
1 million young people, as we know, enter the job market every year. Some have dropped out of school, completed school, or not been able to enroll in college, right? Now, since 2016, this thing we are calling the KCB Foundation, Tujiajiri program, has been working on these young people and trying to create employment opportunities, equip them for it, give them the finance, give them the business toolkit. You know, when I started business, I was the accountant, I was the chair of the board, and I was the chief employee. But these guys, and I was also the funder of the project, but these guys get to have people who are helping them do that. So this is amazing. So the reason why my math was off is this Tujiajiri program, Tujiajiri, has created 150,555 jobs by training only 35,195 jobs. So each person becoming an entrepreneur is creating roughly not 2 jobs per person, but at least 6. Then you've got incubated 10,000 youths, 267 million loans to support the enterprises, and issued 2,225 startup toolkits and trained 6,535 business on financial planning. So for more, go to KCB Group /foundation.
There you go. Where am I going when I need to buy a house or take over or ask somebody to take over what I'm already paying to buy a house, TT?
Well, the thing is, you first need to want to buy a house.
I want.
Now, if you want to buy a house, then the question is, where exactly do you want to buy it? And then there's also the question of how much money do you have? In most cases, people think buying a house is somewhere in the future, because you look at your financials, they don't quite math up. Diamond Trust Bank is saying, look, we understand that buying houses, getting mortgages can be a problem. We have a solution for you. Not we may have a solution for you. We have a solution for you. Why? We're saying, look, if you're employed, you have a business, you're in the diaspora, okay? If you happen to be in Kenya, we're telling you, we'll finance you up to 105%. Saying 100, no, 105, so that the cost of getting that particular money is also taken care of.
Right.
If you're in the diaspora, we're saying 80% is what we're offering you in terms of a mortgage. But we're also saying that because DTB partners with Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, they're able to give you interest rates that are actually breathtaking. 9% if you want to borrow for 10 years. 9.7% if you want to borrow for 25 years. And they're also saying, look, in addition to this, if you want to pay early, there are no penalties.
We won't charge you for that.
No, and these surprise charges or hidden charges that you hear about, we do not have them.
Okay.
What we tell you is what you're going to pay is what you are going to pay.
Voila.
Now, the only thing you do is either visit, very simply, the closest Diamond Trust branch that is near you, okay, or email mortgages@dtbafrica.com.
Voila, and that's all you need to do. Click on it and then you'll be able to get all the information that you need. All right, getting into our conversation for this hour, another tall man joins us in the room. It seems that it has been the day for tall men today, but okay.
No, it's been a day for very tall men.
Very tall men.
Tall men are people like me.
Okay, very tall men are people like
Mheshimiwa Ruku here and Professor Songok.
Indeed.
Those are very extremely tall people.
Another very tall man joins us in the person of Mbeere North Member of Parliament, Jeffrey Ruku, and he's here this morning. Mheshimiwa, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You know, we'll say it because, you know, we've not seen you this year.
Yes. It's good coming back at this very nice studio.
Good to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking about a number of things today, but we do hope that you're well and that let's make you just a little bit better, because CT will welcome you with today's proverb and you have no choice but to tell us what you think about it. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay.
Our proverbs for this week come from the Republic of Djibouti. Today's proverb: a guest who breaks the plate of his hosts is not soon forgotten. You've gone to your in-laws and then you've gone and broken a plate.
Take back their daughter.
Where do you get this profile?
This one is from Djibouti. He got this one from Djibouti.
Yeah, I think it should not be forgotten.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go on breaking plates.
You are the guest. You're going to people's house and you're breaking plates.
Shida.
You should be a bit careful not to break the plates. Instead, enjoy the meal and the moment. And you say thank you to the host.
And don't destroy things in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise.
You know he's right, eh? If you've ever broken a plate in your in-laws' house, whenever there is friction, even if the friction is about a car, they will remind your spouse that you once broke a plate. You've been careless for a long time.
And that's why he broke the plate when he came here.
You go to somebody's house and you destroy their possession. Huh? They're not likely to forget about you. Or they're not likely to think of you in a good way.
Or invite you again.
Or invite you again, for that matter. Okay. So, Mheshimiwa, thank you for being here this morning. And even as we get into some conversations, there's a lot that's happening politically, isn't it? We seem to have been ready already to vote for elections as though the vote were coming tomorrow. There's a lot of electioneering that's going on. And there seems to be a lot of bad blood. It would appear as though somebody went to somebody else's house and broke their plates. Mm-hmm. What's going on? How are things?
I think things are moving in the right direction so far.
Oh, okay.
I don't think there is much which this country have not seen in the past. Politics is usual push and pull from one direction to the other. Of course, we have a very weak opposition, if I may say.
Weak opposition, okay.
If I may call it opposition, is extremely weak because these are faces which we know. That's at national level. Of course, once a member of parliament wins, or an MCA win, or a governor wins, or a senator, or a women rep, even the president, the following day, other people start preparing on how they will take your position.
Okay.
It's normal. So I don't think there is anything out of ordinary. Everything is the way it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Yes.
So you talk about a weak opposition, whether it was created that way or whether it's that way by design. But you seem to not be very happy with that opposition being weak. Why is that?
Assuming those who are in government are the one in the opposition, don't you think we'll be having a very strong opposition?
Say that again?
Assuming those who are in government, assuming William Ruto, Adan Duare, Professor Kithure Kindiki, Kimani Ichung'wah, Murkomen are all in opposition. Don't you think we'll be having a very strong opposition in this country?
So what you're saying is that the persons who are in opposition today,
the individuals,
you're saying that they are weak in character and that's why the opposition is weak?
Yeah, they are very weak in character. The individuals.
What informs that?
Chilling.
What informs that?
It's the history, because they are known. The history of Kalonzo Musyoka, the history of Moses Wetangula.
Moses Wetangula is the Speaker of the National Assembly.
Not Moses Wetangula. My many apologies.
Was that a Freudian slip?
This guy, Eugene Wamalwa. The history of Eugene Wamalwa. Jeremiah Kioni, a guy who never fought for Musalia Mudavadi when he was his running mate in his own polling station. You know, some things are outrageous. So these are very weak people politically, you know.
So what you're saying is that because from the individuals that you've named, because these individuals, from what you say, maybe they've not been able to garner enough votes, that from what you see historically, that they've not stood on a very strong political foundation, for example, and so they cannot make up an opposition? What's the What would be the recipe for strong opposition?
They are not able to cut across the communities of the Republic of Kenya.
Okay.
They are not able to speak the language of the people in Ramu, the people in Turkana, the people in Mandera. They are not able to identify with, the forgotten corners of our republic. They are not able to have an agenda, because more or less they talk about their tribal or ethnic groups. That's where they try to coalesce around and be in a situation where that Karonso will bring this, Eugene will bring the other. I don't know, the other one will bring this community. It's not one person cutting across all communities. So that is one of the very weak link. And the politics of today are completely different with the politics of the past years.
Are you talking about
even if it's the politics of the past years, Jomo Kenyatta was a nationalist. A guy, a man who is able to cut across the communities. Mwai Kibaki, he struggled a bit. But there was a coalition, which helped him to cut across the nation. Moi, with all the weaknesses which we may want to mention, this is a guy who preached unity of the republic for 24 years across the nation. Of course, he punished those who were errant in a very serious manner. And I think all those who are punished by Moi deserve to be punished. If you look at it critically.
I'm sorry, just hang on.
Hold on, Mheshimiwa. Are you saying that Nyati House was necessary? Then you are saying the many tribal clashes that Moi oversaw were a good thing. And if so, we would also like to know contractually whether what you are saying in a sound mind and with full presence.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I spent some 2 years studying Africa continental politics, and we went through pre-colonial period during the kingdoms in Africa, Baganda Kingdom, I don't know, and many other kingdoms across Africa, across the continent. We then, when the colonialists, the 1885 Berlin Conference, what happens? Colonialists coming to define Africa into sections to independence time and also post-independent times to multi-party democracy, Africa as we know it today. And if you are able to put Moi in that mix, plus the coups which were happening, plus the Cold War, the USSR and the West, on what was happening then, the kind of political environment which President Moi was operating in, vis-a-vis the issues he did, the progress he made for this nation, you give Moi a very good grade in terms of holding this country together, in terms of uniting the nation, in terms of putting necessary infrastructure, in terms of having a very strong education system, which is respected across the world, in terms of producing very credible human resource, which Kenyans have worked across the world. These are the results of the policies and programs which President Moi put in place at a very difficult.
So you're saying even with the noise, even if the noise that was being made, according to what you're calling it now, with the noise that was being made around him, you're saying that there was progress that was made at that time that you can now see still the results of today.
Yes.
And I'm trying to see if you're making a parallel between that and what is currently going on when we're talking about punishments, that particular conversation. That if the noise then was essentially shut away, or if the noise was put in torture chambers, or if the noise was put away where people couldn't find them, then that is how you're then able to measure any kind of development that took place, because any kind of opposition to what he was doing was unwelcome.
So if you look at when the African Charter of Peoples and Human Rights was enacted by the African Union or AOU, you remember we came from AOU to African Union, the issues of human rights were not as much entrenched as they are at the moment. That does not mean I'm saying it was good for people to be tortured in Nyeri House chambers. That does not mean that Matipa was supposed to be turning to, someone who is completely tortured and he can't know himself. No. Those are atrocities which should be condemned.
Okay.
But at the same time, African nations went to dogs. Very many of them during from 1970s to 1990s. Kenya is one of the nations which, yes, we did not do very well then, but we stood. Our education system was tested and it stood. Look at the infrastructure around this city. Go to Lilongwe, go to Kambara here, go to many African capitals. You see the major difference between this country and other African nations. So give credit where it deserves. Moi did a good job during his time as president. Yes, there are issues which were not right, but that is the nature of human development or progress.
Mheshimiwa, you've done a very good catapult and done a very good job of making us giants among the dwarves, which is fine. But the question I have to ask for you is that in 2025 we find ourselves in very precarious positions. If it's about coups, there have been about 4 in the last 4 years. If it's about wars, we are surrounded by wars right from Somalia to Ethiopia, to Sudan, to South Sudan. Thank God M23 has declared a ceasefire for a while, but we are surrounded by conflict. I do not think applying your logic to this season would be cogent. But my second question as well is, you talked about opposition and them not being useful because they do not command certain tribal bases, and I'm really struggling to understand how my tribe determines how I should oppose.
I think you didn't get me right.
Perhaps I didn't.
Yes.
That might be true.
What I said is the position which we have at the moment, they are hiding behind tribal cocoons. They don't have a command which cut across the communities of the Republic of Kenya. They are not nationalistic. They are ethnic-based guys, individuals. That's what I say.
So when they go to court and go to court to talk about the issues of abductions, or they go to court to challenge the certain bills, are they doing it as a matter that cuts across the nation, or do they do it specific to a region?
Going to courts,
I'm just using that as an example.
Yes, challenging different policy or programs run by the government or laws which have been registered by the National Assembly or the Senate. That anybody, you don't require to be a politician to go to court and do some of these things. Any Kenyan has a right to go to court and challenge whatever he thinks should be challenged. What I'm talking about is, let's see Kalonzo Musyoka in Mandera in a very vibrant way.
So are you
Let's see Eugene Wamalwa and his team in Kwale in a very vibrant manner. So these are individuals who are just lazy, individuals who move from one hotel to the other, thinking that that's how formation of government is done.
So
you
what I
can't
hear
form
you saying,
government, you can't form government and you can't oppose a government in a credible manner from one conference room to another, from one hotel room to another.
So
it is impossible.
Clarify this for me.
Go
Mahesh.
to where
So
the rubber
essentially
meets the road.
What you're saying
and
here
it's the
is-
communities of the republic.
So it's really not about the opposition, but what you're saying essentially is you're putting a dent, or rather you're taking the wind out of the sails of these gentlemen who at some point wanted to put up their names for, recognition
They are very weak
to run for the
individuals.
government, to run for president.
Yes,
to
they are very
run
weak.
for-
But the question that
And
has
the,
to be...
the example of this weakness is that they are not able to command a nationalistic approach towards leadership.
Let me tell you, if there was no media in the Republic of Kenya, for instance, or if the media does not penetrate, to all corners of the Republic, some of these people, their names will not be mentioned anywhere. Their names are, taken out there by the media.
Would you be saying the same thing if their names were among those who were chosen for positions of leadership or positions of government today?
You see, if, for instance, I represent the Beira North constituency, I have never seen those people we are talking about
in Beira North,
in my constituency.
What I'm asking,
I have never seen them, not even once. So what is this you are talking about?
Let me make a comparison for you, a very easy one. Did you ever
And when
see...
we come to the President William Ruto, these are gentlemen who has been in very small town centers.
Okay.
Not the major town center. I'm not talking about in my constituency. The major town center is called Chicago town.
Okay.
And the other one is Shira town. No.
Let
I'm
me ask
talking
you-
about Kerie.
Let me
I'm
ask
talking
you-
about Karambari.
Did you
I'm
ever
talking about
see-
Kamumu.
Did you
places
ever-
where William Ruto
Mahesh,
has visited.
Mheshimiwa,
Now,
did you ever see...
how do you compete with such an individual?
Let me ask you a
And
question
there's
to
a guy
see if
here.
you can ground that point. What is the name of that town? Okay.
I'm talking about Kamumu.
Kamumu, okay.
Town center.
Did you ever see Opio Wandai in Kamumu Town Center? Because now he's a member. He's a member of government. He's a member of cabinet, which all of you have so welcomed, right? Did you ever see him in that small town for you to now say that because he has come here, now I can see he's a reputable person and he's a member of the government today, and we can recognize him? Did you ever see him there?
Fair enough. Let me answer you. Opio Dai has not claimed that he wants to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. Have you heard him saying he wants to be
This
the
is
president?
my point exactly.
He has not
Because he's
said.
now been
But
embraced
Kalonzo
by
Musyoka-
government. You would never say something
Kalonzo
about him.
Musyoka and his team, we are saying one of them will be president of the Republic of Kenya. Isn't it? Opio Adai was a member of parliament, and probably he would be very happy to go back to continue serving as a member of parliament of his constituency. So the town centers and villages in his constituency is very okay mingling and serving those people, and asking their votes. But they are gentlemen who want the vote of Kenyans, and they want to tell Kenyans a guy who knows where Kamomo is, who knows where Kiri is, who knows, and he has set his foot in Karambari, in very remote corners of this republic. That's a man you want to wake up and dismiss and say, these are very, I don't want to use that one, but for the sake of whatever, is a
Emphasis.
He's a nobody.
Well, let me ask.
Let me tell you, they'll be in for a very serious shock.
They could be in for a shock. That's fine. My question is how is setting foot in my father's village in Chwele and talking at the people, because you don't even let them talk to you, how does that make you a better leader? It makes you a good campaigner, I'll tell you that. But how
does that convince me that you're going to take care of the matters under the Constitution, for example?
Very good question.
Yeah.
The centrality of our Constitution is public participation. Public participation is at the center of our Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. And public participation is conducted in all manner of ways. When you are in the deep corners of this republic, talking to people, interacting with them, the leaders of that village, waking up and speaking, That is very good public participation. You understand, indeed, what affects different corners of this country. You'll be able to see with your own eyes. Some things you don't require to be told. Some things you just require to see. You know, another day I posted photos of one of my school in Mbeere North.
Yes, I saw that.
Which is fully, which was Mad World School. And Kenyans were, you know, out there saying, you mean we have such kind of schools? Meaning, we have many Kenyans who have not gone in deep in the villages to see the kind of where schools we have, kind of roads we have, lack of water, lack of electricity, lack of social amenities.
Oh, we know, yeah.
You know? So you can be taught there, but you really you are not in touch with the real things on the ground. So it's extremely important for us readers to be able to walk the journey that other Kenyans are walking.
You can walk all over the country, but then how is that making a difference in terms of the things that need to be done?
Of Mandera, for instance.
You walk around the country, you look at these things. The president, for example, is in Northeastern this week. Because you've gone to different parts of the country, how is that going to affect that you actually do something about the things that are lacking? And I think that's the big question. If you're traveling all over the country and seeing people and making sure that they support you in one way or another, what are you doing that is going to make sure that these issues that you face, you yourself have mentioned them by your own admission: poor road infrastructure, lack of running water, schools that don't exist. How will traveling around to ensure support make sure that these things are actually done? That's a big question for Kenyans. How?
Yes.
How?
That is through the programs which you can see government putting in place. Because you have to put in place programs which equalize. Okay, probably that's a strong term. Which put equity across Kenyans. Because we enjoy water in Nairobi. We enjoy electricity. We enjoy good roads.
In Nairobi?
Okay? Yes, around in Nairobi. Okay, and probably metropolis, Nairobi metropolis. These are Kenyans paying taxes. We have Kenyans in Mandera who are also paying taxes. But their chiefs are being abducted. You are in a situation where you don't think that a chief can be abducted.
Can you imagine? Under the cover of daylight.
Okay. Now, in Mandera is Kenya, but chiefs have been abducted. So there are challenges, unique challenges of that part of the Republic of Kenya. There are challenges, unique challenges on this part of the Republic of Kenya within Nairobi metropolis. So you'll be able to understand the kind of policies and programs as the end of government, as ministers, as leaders, which you are supposed to put
by
so
going
that
around
there
the
can
country.
be equity across the Republic.
But
You do realize...
sorry, Mark, I want us to go to a break, so just hold on to that realization for just a minute, won't you? And then remind you that how do you want to send your money around the world? 190 different countries you can do it in 49 different currencies. You don't have to bother about how much time it's going to take. You don't have to bother about high fees. You don't have to bother about, hidden fees either. All you need to do is get on the Virtual FX platform and you can send money anywhere, anytime, and your person will receive it. Your business will receive it. Your suppliers will receive it real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And you don't have to worry about anything like that. And really quickly, you can get onto the website www.virtualfx.com. Find out that all the things I'm telling you are actually true. Okay? All right. We're going to come back. And then Mark will tell us also when we come back about how 150,000 people are affected because 35,000 people were trained. It's great stuff. We'll come back right after this.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Sunny conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see through the day highs of 24 and lows of 14. It is 19 degrees in Nakuru, 19 and sunny in Nyeri, and 19 degrees in sunny Eldoret. It is 28 degrees and mostly cloudy in Mombasa, 28 and partly sunny in Malindi, and at 24 it's sunny into Kisumu with sunny conditions at 23 in Kakamega. Into Kampala it's sunny at 24 and Dar es Salaam at 29 is sunny with Johannesburg at 22 and sunny. Mogadishu Mogadishu sunny at 29 with 16 degrees and warming up to highs of 24 in Addis Ababa. Lagos at 27 is sunny with sunny cloudy conditions at 25 in Kinshasa. Beijing at 2 is sunny with -1 and foggy in Paris, 8 degrees and cloudy in London, and 7 degrees and mostly cloudy in New York. Bad. We just still have some bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Thika Superhighway as you come into through towards Sigei. So that's going to slow things down just a tad. There's still a little bit of traffic coming off of Kangunda Road, and then now Landis is really packing up coming off of Jogo Road heading into the CBD. We'll take a quick look at what's coming off of Limuru Road as you approach that Muthaiga Junction. But then as you come through towards the Thika Superhighway at that area, I think we'll be fine. Wayaki Way cleared up, and as has Langata Road for most of it. So through the morning, talk to us, SpiceFM KE on X.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. 50,000
people affected, and rather, in a good way, employed in a good way as a result of folks being trained.
If your child did not get an A+ in KCSE or an A or an A-, you don't have to worry, because this program to Jiajiri will sponsor 18 to 34-year-olds in TVETs and equip them till they get certification from NITA, that the National Industrial Training Authority. So you're certified to do what you have learned. So if you're a plumber, you're not those plumbers where we say call plumber and we don't know whether they have certification. You got the proper certification. Then your business is incubated so that you're able to get the skills through mentorship to be able to plan, develop, write proposal, market, bookkeep, legal and advertising. My goodness, I wish I could turn back the hands of time like that song says. I would have gone here. Third, when you graduate and you're ready and your idea is bankable, you receive credit to advance your business interest, and the KCB Foundation will then exit when you have a running, fully equipped business. For more info, kcbgroup.com/foundation.
Barry North MP is our guest this hour, and just looking at a number of political intrigues, and here we are saying we're looking at there's a political hatchet that's out and it seems to be knocking, and we're saying, okay, well, is it possible to bury that? But from what you're saying, it seems maybe not. Mark has a question.
I'm having a bit of whiplash, Mheshimiwa, because it's easy to campaign when you have a government vehicle, because you say you're going to launch a program, and then you go, and then you're campaigning. But on the other side, the ideas, the sufuria heating, and all of those things are not enough of opposition. So my question to you is, what is the cogent point that you're trying to give Kenyans? Because there's a side of opposition you've forgotten. That side is called Gen Z. It's called social media. It's called all of these people who are literally speaking every day through social media and talking about the issues that are there. And they're not looking at opposition as people. They're looking at opposition as a movement, right? Of the ground itself speaking to the powers that be. So opposition is not just Kalonzo, and I surely hope it is not, just as leadership is not William Ruto alone, because I hope that is not it as well. So what is the cogent message that Kenyans should get from you?
I think we're saying our nation is at a proper turning point where we have, as I have said, and I am repeating the same, weak opposition at the moment. Raila Odinga, who is a very strong, one of the strongest politicians we have in the Republic of Kenya, is supporting the programs of the government. Very senior members of ODM are in government, are ministers in government. So we are left with very weak individuals. So basically, Gen Z played a very critical role. Social media is playing a very critical role because the individuals we have are weak. But we have young people on online space who are playing a very critical role, and I would encourage them to continue playing the same critical role. The only thing I would also encourage them to do is to do it in a very peaceful manner. The demonstration which we witnessed last year, first for the 2 days, they were extremely organized, peaceful demonstrations by young people, which was, very beautiful thing to see. But of course, criminal element came in and disrupted the entire very well-organized and peaceful demonstration by young people. They tend to be criminal. Other politicians trying to take advantage of the whole thing. So, yes, you are right, my brother, that we have a space, online space. We have Gen Z, who are very fine-brand, very well-informed. Let's continue with that space. Some people say Kenya, investors will put money in this country, not necessarily because of the renters, but because of the population. That the population is extremely informed. Population really know where their nation should be taken, and if it's going in the wrong direction, they are there to say now and then, without wasting time, that we are going in the wrong direction, and this should be the right direction. That is acknowledged globally, that Kenyan population is very enlightened. So let the Gen Z continue raising their voices, correcting readers on the online platform, but let's also do that within the realms of law and in an organized manner. That's what I have to say.
Mheshimiwa, I want to ask this question. When you say that the opposition is weak, the implication is that the government is strong. Is that not so? Now, if indeed, as you say, you've been supported by one of the strongest politicians in the country, if I do my maths, 30% of those who are now in cabinet were former hostiles. How exactly does that add up to a confident and strong government when you've already incorporated people who previously were definitely not on your side? How is that a sign of strength?
To answer your question properly, we should talk about statecrafting. Statecrafting. Because we have a state and also we have a government. We have a state which has to survive, regardless of whether government is in place or not. Assuming William Ruto is not the president, assuming there are not even ministers, Central Bank of Kenya has to run, banking system or financial system of this country has to be in place, schools have to continue, businesses have to run, transportation has to continue, people have to fly from JKIA to other part of the world. All those things will not stop because we don't have a government. So there is one thing that has to survive, and that is the state. The soul of this nation has to survive regardless of the situation. And that's where now we talk about statecrafting. If the situations demand that for the state, for the soul of the nation, to be in good health, the critics of the government have to come on board. So be it. Because we can't lose the soul of the nation.
And isn't that what folks are crying about today? Because, I mean, we could do a whole list, Mheshimiwa. That the soul of the nation is what people are grappling in order for it to be saved. Because what are we talking about? That if people are to be in good health, that if people are to be educated properly, that if the infrastructure that's going to create a conducive environment for people to survive be done in a proper way, that is what people are crying out for. People are crying out for today that do not abduct me and do not let me show up dead on my mother's doorstep. That's what people are saying. That people are saying, do not raise taxes to the point that people are struggling to within an inch of their lives and they cannot survive. That's the soul that we're talking about. It's not about a bunch of people who decide that they want to be in power for as long as they can. It's actually saving the soul of the nation, and that soul is hinged on these things that I've talked about. So who's protecting the soul in that way? Who's doing that?
And that is exactly
who's doing that.
And that is exactly what the president and his government have been doing. Only that there is too much misinformation. Misinformation and disinformation, which we saw yesterday, and I commend CS Bandi for coming out to go to Bunga Wananchi yesterday and start explaining Finance Bill 2025 early enough so that crooked pharaohs may not take advantage of disinforming Kenyans. Because there is a serious wave on this wake of AI.
What's untrue?
Misinformation and disinformation.
Mweshimiwa, tell me one thing that has come out that's untrue.
Yesterday we saw CS Bandi coming out to Bunga Wananchi explaining to Kenyans, to the common man, that this is the steps which you are taking towards crafting taxation policies. Don't be misread by the enemies of the state, because Kenya are serious enemies. There are many enemies out there who will be extremely happy
from where?
To see this country going to the dogs.
Who? Such as whom, Mweshimiwa?
I don't want to mention names, but we have international bodies out there.
Okay.
We have countries out there who have operatives in this country.
Let me give you an example.
Be extremely happy.
Let me give you an example.
But why are you afraid to mention the country?
If you're talking about misinformation,
that is
right?
not my.
If you're talking about misinformation,
I can mention that in a privileged ground. I can mention that on the floor of the
This is a very clear question. If we're talking about misinformation, which you've said that people are putting out there,
I'll give you an example.
But if CS Badi has come out to say, for example,
let me give you an example of misinformation, which was in Finance Bill 2025.
Please.
2024. For instance, it was out there in public domain that Finance Bill as a crowd talking about rand, that once we pass Finance Bill, government will start, Kenyans will start paying taxes for the rand which they own in the villages. It was out there, it was everywhere on TikToks. I don't know, even a green booklet. Which is printed like the actual booklet of Finance Bill 2024, and there was nothing like that. But you know, you could not be able even to convince my mother in the village that that's not true.
Do you know there would have been nothing that you sorry,
there's a lot
I have
of
to come in here. I have to come in here.
That's why we have seen CS Badi coming out early enough.
CS Badi, there would have been very little that you would have been able to say to convince John Badi 1 year ago that the fiscal policies that were being set up for Kenya were actually for the good of the Kenyans. Same man wearing a different hat today. So I would say that to neutralize the opposition, which is something that has been done so very well, was to bring these gentlemen and put them into government. So you're talking about a weak opposition, but it's one that has been done by design. And you're using the same individual who very vehemently opposed some of the things that we're talking about today is now in a position to support them. Do you not see that design?
No. As I said, it was not a design. It was a moment of truth, a moment of saving the soul of the nation.
When you needed to bring people who were on the opposite side onto your side.
Yeah, why? Because I have told you the truth again and again. You don't believe me that I'm saying the truth. So let me bring in someone on board who you trust. So that he come and see, look, I've been telling you this is the situation.
I like your explanation. I honestly do. And I'm listening, and at some level, they're actually convincing it. And it's a good thing you're a politician, because when you're a politician, that sort of argument makes sense. You see, I wouldn't expect you to say anything other than what you're saying, in all honesty. No.
I'm not disagreeing.
When someone belongs to a political party or he belongs to a certain division within politics, it is correct that you should point out the things you're pointing out. I want to move away from this discussion of weak opposition and strong government or whatever the permeation is. And I want to ask the question. In this country, we've always had, at the 11th hour, the ability to talk to each other and form coalitions, even when things were really, really, really bad. Now, when we talk about burying the hatchet, that is what it is. But in politics, This coming together and bringing in members of the opposition, does it really help the citizenry? That really is the question I'm asking. The soul may be saved.
As I have mentioned, I have said...
But is it really saved?
Is it saved?
As I have said, trust. Because we are managing public affairs. We are not in business of private business. President is managing public affairs. It has reached a stage or a moment where people don't believe that what the president is saying is the truth.
Because they can see, their eyes are open.
What ministers are saying is the truth. People think, no, we are being cheated somewhere. The members of opposition, they're saying, no, this guy is cheating us and he's cheating Kenyans.
The same weak
because their eyes are open.
Okay, we say, okay, guys, that's the situation. I will give you an opportunity to come and run this ministry. So that you can see and believe what I'm saying is the truth. Remember, there was a task force which was formed by the president to oversee the debts, both domestic debts and international debts. One of the members who are put there are members from the Law Society of Kenya. Because these were very strong guys going to court and shouting that as far as the debts of this country is concerned, what has been tapered by government is not true. Those are just figures. We are paying debt which is not there. People borrowed money and they took it to I don't know where. It's okay. You have managed to convince the public. You have won in the public court that what we are telling you as a government, it is wrong. Okay, please come and help us in looking at all this so that you can tell us whether it is true or not.
Was it a please come and help us in this issue, or was it a come and take a position so that you don't open your mouth tomorrow?
No. It's a task force. It will be done in public. You know, members of parliament, they do sit in committees. And there are situations where you invite different ministers, different government agencies to come and give evidence to the committee, to come and table documents. And we sit there. We even, some of the issues are taken on oath, that you come, take oath on what you are saying is truth, but the truth. Documents are tabled. You are told, this is the situation. You guys, you are the policy makers, you are the lawmakers. Use this information to make the right decision for the Republic of Kenya. And some of the situations are there. We are out here thinking that we are in good shape, but the technocrat and bureaucrat, they come and table documents. And they tell you, this is the situation. For instance, KQ was guaranteed a loan of 19 billion Kenyan shilling by the Kenyan government many years ago. We're in a situation where KQ has devoted to pay the loan. The guarantor is Kenyan government. So what are you going to do? Are you going to pay the 19 billion? If you don't pay the 19 billion, news will be out there across the world saying Kenya government has devoted. That when that happens, there will be capital outflow from Nairobi Stock Exchange and other investments within the economy. And therefore, you'll see the exchange rate, Kenyan shilling, depreciating seriously against dollar and other hard currencies.
I'm trying
so it is not the fault of Kenyan government for KQ to default. It's the management. It's bad decisions. But now, government is in a very difficult situation.
Government is a shareholder. And how on earth did the government let all that go down and they...
Under its watch.
Yes, exactly.
So you find...
Government is to blame.
So you find we are in a difficult situation. You have to make difficult decisions. You have to pay amount of money which you are not supposed to pay. So these are some of the difficult situations which we find ourselves in.
You know, Mheshimiwa, and KQ, for example, recorded profit 513 billion for the financial year 2024, right? So KQ is not a danger. It's not in a difficult situation. Then
actually, it is, man.
No, I'm just saying they recorded a profit. Yeah. But similarly, the freehold land within near or near urban, within near and urban areas is the bill that was being addressed. My point is that the issue in Kenya is not fake news. The issue in Kenya is not weak opposition. Because in fact, if you were to complain about weak opposition and you support government, it is government that made the opposition weak. So I am really...
Mark, if the government is that strong, you see, for one to be weak, it means you're strong.
Yeah.
If you're that strong, why do you keep co-opting other people?
Exactly.
Who are definitely in the opposition?
Yes. And one of the things, Mheshimiwa, that and we have quite a little time. Kenyans are crying for real problems that need real solutions. I do not think Kalonzo Musyoka or Eugene Wamalwa or whoever can really offer those solutions real time. This hard space you are talking about, the government that is strong, please tell Kenyans, because we need hope. In fact, yesterday we said, make Mark rich again. Tell us, how is this pain going? That's really what we want to know.
The thing that Kenyans are complaining about,
we really
how are we
don't
going to
care
solve
about whether
those issues?
Kalonzo is strong or weak.
Yes, it is true. Kenyans finding it difficult to meet day-to-day expenses. And it is true also that this government has taken 2 years to stabilize in terms of getting right the macroeconomic parameters, which are critical in getting economy in the right trajectory. I can assure you this year is the year when Kenyans are going to feel the effect of decisions which are made by this government for the last 2 years. They will be able to feel the effect in terms of having money in their pocket, because we have gotten right as far as inflation of the country is concerned. We got it right as far as the exchange rates are concerned. We got it right as far as fuel prices are concerned. We got it right as far as edible oils are concerned.
Okay.
We have enough local production of cereals, maize, beans. This country does not need now to import maize and beans from other countries. We have enough local production of sugar. This country does not now need to import sugar from other countries. Quite a number of things are in the right place. This year is a year when Kenyans are going to feel the effect of buying cheap products, the effect of seeing their road being, because we have huge number of projects which have stalled across the country. This year, starting this month, we are going to see contractors going back to site, meaning many Kenyans we are going to be employed. One of the sector which has gone down in terms of percentage, according to Kenya Bureau of Statistics, is construction industry.
Okay.
Why? Because all contractors are not on site.
Sorry, Mheshimiwa, but unfortunately, with conversations like this, time comes to an end. But I hear you being prophetic, and it will be interesting to see, because this month is this month. We're just 4 days in. It will be interesting to see if some of these things actually do happen. 2025 is we're going through it. Berry North MP has been our guest this hour. Geoffrey Ruko, thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for joining Kenya's biggest conversation every weekday as you do. We'll talk again tomorrow morning, God willing, at 6. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.